Welcome everybody to the Crossfire Podcast. It's a little after 7. It's Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We have an amazing panel put together for you guys tonight. I am looking forward to this show so much. The pre-show, when a pre-show is this electric and you've got a group of people together that just get along and love games and are able to bust chops back and forth, yet have a great time, that means you guys in the audience are in for a treat. And everybody that is in the audience right now, please take a second to share this video out, retweet it, copy the link, put it on Twitter, tell a friend, pick up the phone, call them, tell them Mooch is on. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just spread the word. Also, please hit the little subscribe button. We're trying to get Mooch to 10,000 by the end of the year. We'll see if we can do that. And I want to say this much. It has been an unbelievable week of news. But I've had so many great conversations with all the Mooch Maniacs and the people that really help this channel grow. And you guys mean so much to me. That little join button above the description is how you become a part of the Mooch Maniac family. And I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. And I want to call these guys out and say thank you so much. Shout out to Longshot316, Sir X-Man, Masshole 1977, Midway Monster, JudaZuk, Shinseiya, WoolleyGamer, Rated D Demonic, Raguram Sellakkannu. I'm going to say that wrong, but it doesn't matter. I still appreciate you. Zblackrider. And then I've also got my good friends, the major Mooch Maniacs. I got Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades. Then I've got Wilmy Hood. You guys know the great Wilmy Hood. Does Gaming Beyond the Box. Great show on Wednesday nights. And Rich Kreischer. And then our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Jimmy Johns, Biggie2316, Doggy Dog 420, Percolator 9000, and he's not a VIP Mooch Maniac right now, but I want to give him an honorable mention, the great Marty Bison, who definitely hooks Mooch up every time he gets a chance. So shout out to Marty and everybody out there too. Guys, we've got a great show tonight, an absolutely amazing show. Let me start with the panel, introductions, and then we're going to get right to these hot topics. I'm going to start with the one, the only, he's the most entertaining son of a bitch on Twitter. It is the Crap Gamer. Crap, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Sorry, Optimus, that was not your introduction. You're not entertaining. That was my introduction. So yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to get into these topics. They look pretty good. Lots of cool stuff to talk about. So let's get started. Let's go.
Appreciate that, Crap. Thank you so much. And then I've got the guy who's probably, you know what, actually, Xbot, let me tell you something. You can go ahead and pour yourself a drink because I think you're actually not going to be so on the hot seat tonight. It's Xbot 448, the defense attorney for Redmond, Washington. Xbot's great to have you tonight, buddy. How you doing?
People and guys, I got to tell you, the pregame was off the hook. I thought I used up all my energy, but I got a cup of coffee right here. I got a bottle of water right here. Guys, buckle in your seatbelts because I feel like this is going to be one of those classic episodes, man. Let's go.
Absolutely, but I couldn't agree more with you. And then I've got my buddy here. He's got his ear to the ground. He's doing work for you. Okay, folks? He does gaming work for you. We just enjoy the knowledge. It's Gaming Forte. Forte, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I actually got a chance to actually not have to work on a Friday, so I was able to take in gaming, play a bunch of different stuff, and really looking forward to all the stuff that popped off this week, man.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, Forte. And you know what? Actually, myself personally, I have a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking you in your expertise and GameStop knowledge. I need to know, so we'll get to that later in the show. I appreciate it. And then I've got my special guests that are here with us tonight. I've got Enrique Brap, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast is back again. He's only enjoying a beverage during the show, not prior to the show. Brap, welcome back, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Woo! That's how I'm doing. I'm ready. Let's go.
Sounds good, buddy. Good to have you here tonight. And then I've got a guy who always finds a way. It's Goldblum. Goldblum, Dark Optimus. Welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
All I gotta say is the Crap Gamer curse is real. And this is why Last of Us leaks have been going out and stuff like that. So,
Hey, that's going to win Game of the Year regardless. Come on.
Game of the generation, Crap.
Keep wishing there, buddy. I think Cyberpunk's gonna take that one.
The only thing we'll know for sure is no Xbox game will be in the running for that. That's
That is true.
Why we gotta
You're
go
right
there?
about that.
Why we gotta go there, man?
exactly.
That was early, right, Crap? And then I've got our special guest here. He is joining us from the realm. I've actually extracted him from the realm, brought him into the Crossfire line. He is a man that's full of energy. He's not just the president of Iron Lords. He's also a client. He's the great Lord Cognito. Cognito, welcome back to the show, buddy. It is outstanding to have you here tonight.
Absolute pleasure to be back in the realm of the Crossfire. Got a fantastic panel. Pre-show was already lit, so I already know this is going to be a fun show. It's good to be back, brother.
I appreciate that, Cognito. You know, believe it or not, I'm going to actually go to you as our special guest first and foremost, Cognito, because, and honestly, it's a positive spin. You know, the first thing is this. We've got an Xbox Series X game announcements coming May 7th, right? And, you know, I have here right here on the bottom of the screen here, it's very simple to read. It says, what to expect. I want to hear from your perspective because you guys on the Iron Lords really have dug deep. You guys have looked into this stuff. You guys have done the research. Besides the obvious, okay, we know we're going to get a Fable. We know we're getting Halo Infinite. We know we're going to... What do you think? And I know that this upcoming May 7th event is predominantly going to be third party. I get it. But
it's going to be third party, man.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, that's okay. Then I want to know, Cognito, listen, we're getting more than one event this summer. Right. I want to know, what is it that you think that we should start to look forward to that's coming out of these big acquisitions, these companies that Microsoft has absorbed? What can we look forward to besides the obvious? Have you heard anything or do you have any expectations?
Right now, I definitely know a lot of their third party. I mean, actually, the acquisitions that they picked up, they are definitely holding a couple of pieces that they're ready to reveal. Obviously, we know the obvious ones from a lot of the big studios, Obsidian and these guys. But there are games that are being worked on that they are super excited. Shout out to Shinobi and a couple of those guys. They tease some games and stuff like that. From what I heard, yes, we know the obvious. We know the Halo Infinites. We know, you know what I'm saying, Fable, the worst kept secret ever. Right. You know what I'm saying, that kind of thing. But look out for Compulsion, man. Look out for them. Look out for I'm hearing some stuff from Double Fine. You know, I am hearing tidbits from a lot of these acquisitions on games that people haven't been able to talk about yet due to NDA. So that's what I'm looking for. Not for May 7th, though. Not for May 7th. May 7th is going to be strictly third party. I think with the lack of E3, a lot of these guys don't have a platform to really showcase. I know Sony just hasn't announced just yet. So I think Microsoft's going to take advantage of that. And would I've liked to see the first party stuff go first? Yes. But unfortunately, you know, they're doing this rollout kind of like segmented. And I think we just got to keep our expectations in check. I don't get mad when they are transparent in telling me what this is. They're like, no first party, this is third party. So that's where I'm at with it right now.
Okay, and I'm going to come back to you guys. I'm going to real quick say thank you so much to the Super Chats. Doggy Dog 420 wants everyone to know that the Super Chat's working. Happy Friday, everybody. Doggy Dog, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Also a VIP Mooch Maniac. And it's slow-mo backslap from a distance. Throws a knife, brass knuckles, and a grenade into the Crossfire Discord panel chat room to see what happens. I like where you're going with that. Slow-mo was really
Where's the trident? I need a trident, man. Come on. We need a grenade and a trident, and I'll be good.
I appreciate that, Slow-mo. Thank you. But Xbot, you know, I'll go to you next, buddy, because, I mean, listen, I got to be honest with you. You've painted nothing but rainbows and sunshine, right, for the past 12 months. This is the time for Xbox to shine. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I want to hear your response to this. Do we think, since we've seen some of the electric that's come out with the reveal at the Game Awards, and then we got a couple other snippets, we've seen Phil doing IGN interviews, Phil was on CNBC. He's all over the place, right? He's everywhere. Well, I mean, are we? My question is this: we haven't gotten any of the games yet, right? And Phil even said it one of the, not the last Inside Xbox that everybody was home with COVID, but it was one before. He had said, every time we do a show, we're going to show new games. All right, so everybody always, you know, old school mentality is we're thinking new games, we're thinking new AAAs or huge AA acquisitions or something. But sometimes a new game that they show us could just be another top-down, you know, or something like a Gears Tactics, something like that. Do you think that these are watered down, that Microsoft should just have one big bonanza, or you're okay with these smaller shows in between?
Well, when it comes to what they're doing in May and then in the summer, I even, you know, in a DM, I told you, like, I don't even think Aaron Greenberg's in charge of this marketing, yo. Like, what they have been doing from the beginning with showing the system at the Video Game Awards show and how they're going forward, like, to me, they have not made a mistake yet when it comes down to it. And I like what they're doing in terms of doing the third party first. Okay. It kind of, what it does is it shows what the Series X can do with multi-plats. People want to see games running on these new systems. That's what they're showing them, but they're showing them that without unleashing everything first party, and then people are gonna, you know, because if you do that, then people are like, well, what's the price? When are they going to show the price? Are they going to do the price here? We all know about Lockhart when it comes down to it, and when they might reveal Lockhart. So what they're doing here with showing third party and giving people a taste of the games that are going to be running on the Series X, I think it's a great move. It does put more pressure in Sony's camp to show something as well. And I got to applaud them for the marketing, because me and you, Mooch, we have been on that thing when it's come to marketing. We have been
absolutely.
on Xbox's case. Like, what are you thinking? You know, they went with a grassroots campaign at one point in time, and all sorts of stuff. And I gotta say, whether it's the person that they grabbed from Amazon over to Xbox in the marketing division, or there's somebody there, and I don't see Aaron Greenberg doing
you
this.
You gotta get Aaron Green. Hey, you can't take credit away.
He tried to disassociate him quick.
You can't do that, bro.
I know.
Just like if this stuff was terrible, we'd be blaming Aaron Greenberg no matter what. So you got.
I just don't think it's
until they say somebody else is the head of.
Well, hold on. Are we using the wrong words though? Are we using the wrong terminology here, guys? We're not.
And thought that was marketing. Okay?
Yeah, but hold on a second. The fact that they're putting on these small shows is not marketing. It's not advertising. Is like on the back of a box or on TV or YouTube. Like, this is a show. This is a production. That's a whole nother team. So I don't think that Aaron Greenberg is should be applauded or criticized for this. I think that he may play a role. I mean, everyone's part of the team.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think this is his bag.
I love the confidence, man.
But we also got to remember that this probably wouldn't happen if COVID-19 wasn't happening right now. Like,
right.
we probably wouldn't have gotten this like at all. So, I mean, it is a good thing, but at the same time, I'm all like, I want to see what their first party's going to do, which I'm seeing that probably coming in like June.
That's
maybe.
why Goldblum's here. You know, Goldblum, you bring up a good point, and Crap, I want to ask you, because I know you're definitely going to have an opinion on this. I mean, are you excited?
I doubt I have an opinion on it, but
yeah, you're always so quiet on this subject. But I wanted to say, what do you think, though, Crap? I mean, is this the AAA games we're going to see are going to be third party? I know you've been an advocate for quite some time, saying, "Listen, could we just please see one first party AAA game?" And
I mean,
Xbox again there.
I mean, listen, I've been asking that for years. So I mean, we've got to wait a little bit longer. Look, when they originally announced this out, you guys saw I was in the DM. I was like, yeah, it's happening. You know, like, this is the time. Everybody that's like, they're coming. Like, for years. Like, now's the time that you can, like, they'll either put up or shut up. Like, it's going to be hard to really, I guess, damage control or sort of make excuses if they don't. But then it turns out they quickly, because in the thing itself, it doesn't say anything about third party only. But then they were quick to go, well, we're excited to see our third party partnerships and blah blah blah. So then our first party is busy, and we're looking forward to showing you what they have in the months ahead, right? So like so you kind of they quick and amended that real quick, which I think is a good thing. You get to see some stuff running on it. Like, my initial question is like the same thing when we had the Xbox One X. Okay, so they're like, this is new Assassin's Creed, right? It's going to be 4K. We've heard that before. But what's the frame rate going to be? Mum's the word on that. Okay, so like that to me, and I want to hear what the frame rate's going to be. Like, I want to hear that kind of stuff. Why would I, upgrade to this next console? What's the options going to be there? Like, that's the stuff I want to see. So if they're going to show third-party stuff, cool, but at least give me some kind of options as to why I'm going to get this Series X and what it's going to do. Like, what's this Valhalla game going to offer me? Am I going to have a 4K mode with 60 frames, a 1400p mode with 60 frames? Like, what's like that?
That's what we're excited about, right? That's next generation. Tell us about next generation.
I think next gen is going to be mostly resolution and frame rates. It's not going to really be about the graphical fidelity of the games, because I think we're at that point of like graphics are really good right now,
right?
And I can't see them going like beyond. I think they really want to get to the meat of the game, which is the resolution and the frame rates. And if they can pull it off with 60 frames per second on a lot of these games, that's going to be great. But at the same time, which games are they going to be? What games are going to get that treatment?
Dark, when it comes to graphics, let's be real here. We've all heard of the uncanny valley, right? Like basically where you can't tell the difference. Graphic designers, they still want to push forward. They still want to get to that point.
They will, but
like,
I don't think they're gonna go to the point to where
you're never gonna
we're all thinking it's gonna be this crazy looking graphic, fidelity. It's gonna look so real that
it's gonna be a big part of
ray tracing. But that's not part of the graphics though. That's not that's part of the lighting. That's part of that's what makes the graphics look good. Yes, but it's not
effects.
It's not.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's the effects. So, I mean, I can't see games being like, take a look at Valhalla. I mean, of course, that game was just a trailer, but that game's gonna look gorgeous because
it's not called Valhalla. It's generic action game.
Shut up, dude.
Wow.
Shut up, dude.
Hey, Dark, Hey, Dark, but the ray tracing thing, though, that is something that's tangible, though. That's something that people will see and notice a difference. So I would say that it's not something that's like graphically or I forgot
that's
what you
something
said,
that enhances the experience.
Right. It's gonna,
but that's something that people will see though, like Forte.
It's not really gonna be a graphic pull, on the game or whatever. It's not gonna make the game look like.
Well, that's the thing. When we're going into next generation, Enrique, we talked about this too offline and on last week's show as well. Do you think that this is something that we're going to see? Is next generation? Next generation to blow people's minds are two things: 60 frames coming from the console world is important, and ray tracing has to step up, right? I think Dark said it really, really well in the fact that we're already at 4K. You can't get more 4K-er. Right,
I mean, you can go 8K, but you're not really gonna notice it very much. Like 8K isn't, it's gonna be like when they went from 1080p to 4K. Yeah, you don't really notice it as much. So it's gonna be the same thing once they go to 8K, which I don't see a lot of games going to 8K.
Listen, here's the thing. I mean, we all go through, and I know that recently we've all been inside, but I'm trying to say we've all been to our local Best Buy or your local electronic shop. Okay, listen, the 8K is in the wild. But is it anywhere near a living room purchase? Not really.
No,
not really. Not for this next generation that's launching in November. And Enrique, I'm going to give you the mic in 1 second. Let me just do a super chat. Thank you to the great Marty Bison, VIP Mooch Maniac. He says, Crossfire, have a great show, panel chat. Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. And I want to take a second here. Our other panel member has made it. Works his ass off. He finally made it down here. Nick, I don't know. You're muted right now, so I'm not sure if you can hear me. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and introduce him anyway. Nick Undead, also part of the Iron Lords podcast and channel. Nick, it's just great to always have you and your wisdom here, buddy. I'd love to hear you not only introduce yourself, but also comment on this. What is next generation really going to be, and are we going to see it out of these boxes, especially in the first 12 months?
Well, I'm obviously I'm you guys can hear me all right. I'm coming through clear.
Just got blindsided, sir. Like bam.
Hello. I'm here to be loud.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm Nicholas. I work with lordsofgaming.net. If people have seen me around or have sent me menacing messages, I'm sure. So next generation is going to be interesting because it's going to come down to. It's been really interesting to watch the discourse around this because I remember the discourse around like 2013, and then when the Pro and the X came out was graphics. But now all of a sudden, because of certain narrative flips, people are starting to talk about game design. They want to see more immersive game design. They want to see world building. How can it really be pushed forward? Which is really interesting to me because there was developers that did this generation and nobody cared. Because they're like, well, it's not real. Like, people spent more time arguing about the resolution of Shadow of War than they did talking about the Nemesis system.
Yes,
which is
very much so.
Which is a crime into itself. And I'm glad to see the conversation, even though the conversation point may be misguided into why people are talking about game design. It's a good conversation going forward. And for me, I 4K is cool and 60 FPS is essential. Ray tracing will be cool technology. But what I really want to see out of these boxes is how much more immersive can we make these games? And what I want to see is I don't want to have to wait, because in my mind, there was about 4 years before I had that WoW game. Where I went, this is next generation. because like Horizon Zero Dawn was the first game that made me go, whoa.
Yeah.
And like I don't even like necessarily like Horizon Zero Dawn. It wasn't one of my favorite games I've ever played, but visually and world design and everything else, it was really cool.
Yes.
And
I think we're gonna probably see that again this gen. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the back support of the older consoles is cool, but that is going to limit stuff going forward to an extent. People have been dialing it one way or another, scalability and everything else. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't have the depth of knowledge to talk about scalability.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely excited. I think like things like Assassin's Creed Valhalla are going to be really cool at the gate to show us the difference because you're going to be able to see it. This is what it looks like on PS4 Pro. This is what it looks like on Xbox One X. And this is what it looks like on Series X and PS5. And I think you're going to see a lot more of a difference in Assassin's Creed Valhalla between those hardware than we did on cross-gen games last generation, because cross-generation games last generation were meh.
Well, you know why though, Nick? It was when we were going from 360 to Xbox One and PS3 to PS4, that was a hard stop. We don't have that hard stop this time. I want to say real quick shout out to the major Mooch Maniac himself, the great Wilmy Hood in the chat, who says Battle Goats. We'll get into that in a second, but yes. Go ahead, please, Enrique. I took the mic from you.
Yeah, Mooch. So you know, it's funny. Like we talked about, like ray tracing and frames per second, and you and I, we've experienced this on PC, right?
Yes.
Because PC is always ahead of consoles because PC is the best place to play games.
Oh, there's a little there's a little caveat for you folks.
I mean, but we have though, like
Master Race again.
Your mom likes PC, but so
that theme, baby.
I heard PC guys have little peckers, so I'm
well, no, we got big GPUs. So no, like I would say like your mom, but I'm sorry, that's all right. But Mooch, I mean, we've seen this on the PC side. Like we've seen ray tracing.
Yes.
We've seen 60 frames per second. If anyone's played Sekiro on PC at 60 frames per second locked, it really is a different experience. So
it is.
I think these things are tangible, and I think a lot of console gamers are going to experience what we've been experiencing on the PC side, like next gen. And even though like we talk about gameplay, like game design, and that maybe consoles are going to be holding back, weaker consoles will be holding back the more powerful hardware. I think if there's any benefit, at least one initial benefit, is that we'll probably see in terms of scalability, higher frame rates, better resolution, and that's something that will be tangible. And you throw ray tracing there, like you look at Minecraft, like I think Xbot had posted Minecraft with the ray tracing. I mean, that looks pretty damn impressive.
It does.
And that's
people are going to
begin it, man.
And that's and so people are going to experience stuff that you and I, Mooch, have been experiencing, and probably you too, Cognito.
Well, yeah.
Not slow-mo or not Forte.
How much money did it take for you guys to experience that?
I mean, look. That
Forte will have a 3080 as soon as it's launching. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but you're like at a 1080 something or the other right now. So.
On that 2080, that 2080. Not even a TI, a 2080. Not even. My fault. I gave you an upgrade. You got a 2070, right?
Yes, he does.
Yes, I do have a 2070.
Okay. So I know because my wife has the same computer he has.
Right by the beach.
I like how I talk PC a lot on here, but Enrique literally boasts it higher than I do.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it though. It's great.
I love it too.
Quick shout out to Rob Jones. He says, has anyone heard any more news in regards to game sharing on Xbox Series X? Next gen going to be amazing.
Dude,
all gamers will not.
It's going to be the same.
Will win no matter your platform. Agreed. And Sir X-Man says, I'm going to break the super chat, Mooch. Feel free, Sir X-Man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then Rob Jones comes back and says, a great panel and topic as usual. Fire. Appreciate that, Rob. Thank you.
Mooch,
go ahead.
Real quick on that game sharing, I do have to say that is a concern of mine moving forward because, and again, it was a rumor, and it was a rumor a while back, like months ago, absolute months ago. But it caught my eye because me and my wife, we game share. Not only that, we share Xbox Live Gold, we share Game Pass.
Many of us do in our families, yes.
But the rumor was that they might change that. They might stop doing that.
That better not come to a hard stop. That's going to piss a lot of people off.
That
There'll
almighty
be
dollar.
torches and pitchforks everywhere if they do something like that.
I didn't even
That
hear
almighty
this. I didn't
dollar.
hear this was coming off the table. I got to be honest with you. There's a couple of things that, I think predominantly here, I know a lot of the guys here very well on the panel. You guys know me very well. I've really enjoyed the Xbox One ecosystem, having that HDMI in and keeping the community together. I'm saddened by seeing that not as a part of the Xbox.
Damn, you got a huge super chat.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
The
Wow.
great, it's my major
Willmy's
Mooch
in the
Maniac,
building.
Wilmy Hood. He says, this is a super chat. Wilmy Hood, you're amazing. Wilmy Hood is literally helping me get the next PC or Xbox. Wilmy, you're fantastic. You're a god among stants. You know this.
Wilmy is the king of PCMR. He has a beast PC.
Oh yeah, his PC is next level, man.
His
Yes, he is.
PC talks to
Oh
you.
my god.
Yeah.
He talks
Yo,
to
he
you.
He don't got a
PC
PC. He got
built
Skynet.
in the
He
UFO.
drinks with you. But
I'm
really,
right here.
are you guys serious? Are they really talking about taking that off the table?
And like I said, this was
That's-
months
Long
ago,
time
and there
ago,
was
yeah.
a rumor that they might change that up, and they might do away with the game sharing and stuff like that. Like I'm saying there's a concern. You know me, man, King Neutral. I keep it even, and I will say things when they come up, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. This is something that, if it's on the table over at the Xbox division, they need to crumple that paper up and throw it in the garbage, set the garbage on fire, and just forget about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hey, I got a question for Crab Gamer real quick. So Crab, so Crab, I'm seeing the chat right now, and this is what I don't understand. Like, what's wrong with wanting better AAA games? I don't understand this.
I don't know. Like, I didn't even think it was such a big thing. Like, to me, so far, since the minute I got here, people are in there. Like, some people were going Ori 2 AAA, and I'm like, dude, it's not a AAA game. It's a great game, but it's not a AAA game. It's like, it's like you can look up the definition, man. It's like studio size, budget, scope, marketing budget. It's a $30 game. Okay, great game, but they did $0 marketing for it. Okay, like look at how they market Halo and Gears. Those are big AAA budget marketing deals, right? Uncharted, those are big Call of Duty.
Yes,
I'm sorry, Ori 2, great game, not a AAA game. I'm sorry, and I'm not even saying that the quality is bad or anything like that. I'm just letting people know that it's not a
game at all.
I'm just saying, but it's like people trying to build that up as a AAA when I'm like, hey man, Microsoft needs these AAA games, and they're like, well, Ori 2. I'm like, no, that's not a AAA game.
But AAA games always they're always the showpieces or showcases for hardware.
Exactly.
First party AAA always are the best. They always tap into the features of the hardware. They're always a showcase or showpieces for consoles. I mean, and that's always been the case.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing to demand AAA
Here's
games.
what I'm looking for. If you look at when they introduced the Xbox One in 2013, I'm talking about the E3 of 2013, not the initial announcement, but the E3. They announced 4 new AAA IP. It was Quantum Break. It was between those two announcements is Quantum Break, Rise, Son of Rome, Sunset Overdrive, and Titanfall. I know they're not all owned by Microsoft, but you got to deal sometimes, right? You got to get these deals. And a couple of those ended up being really, really good. I would expect you need to have at least that many for a next generation announced going forward as well. Like, that's my hopes anyway. Like, we've waited long enough, right? Years and years. Let's get some of these new AAAs out there. Let's try some of these things. Man.
That's the
ahead,
problem with people though, because they always can't differentiate. They can't differentiate the difference between AAA and a game that's like Ori, where it's not AAA. It's a good game. It is, but it's not AAA. Like, to you, it may seem like a AAA game just because you're playing it and you're having fun with it.
It's a good game.
But that does not mean it's a AAA game. A AAA game means that it graphically, and it's big budget, it's studio, they got marketing behind it. They have a bunch of other stuff that's pushing this game out there for us, so there's a difference between, Ori and say The Last of Us or something like that. There's a completely big difference between.
Well, people are like, "What's AAA?" Again, let me point out what a AAA is. We can compare it to a movie, a big summer blockbuster movie, a Marvel movie, right? That big budget, that scope, the way that they market those games with commercials everywhere. That's a big AAA type movie. A big AAA type game is Halo, Gears, Call of Duty, Uncharted. These are huge AAA games. They market them as such. They put out millions and millions of dollars to market them. We had Aaron Greenberg in a fucking hoodie, in a onesie. That was the marketing for Ori. Okay, it's not a AAA game. I'm sorry, guys. Like, it's just not by any means.
Yeah, you know, crap. To your point though, like, it's not just the marketing. It's the tapping into the hardware. And getting and showing you what this hardware could do. Like, some of the live chat just said, you know, Ori is a showpiece. Ori is a great game. It's probably one of the best platformers I've played this generation.
It'll probably sell better when it gets ported to the Switch too.
But,
so I mean,
but from a hardware perspective, it is not. Yeah, from a hardware perspective, it's not a showpiece. It's not. It's not like a Horizon Zero Dawn or a Gears 5. It's not on that level. And
the question is, who is saying that it's a showpiece?
AAA games can
That's what I want to know.
Either. Like, we're not.
Somebody in the live chat is Crispy Bomb.
Because some people are sitting here saying that you know, AAA games can suck, and I'm all like, yeah, that's absolutely true.
They can suck,
absolutely, yeah.
So you know, it's like the definition of a AAA game does not mean because it sucks or because it's good. It just means.
Let me ask you a question.
I've got a good amount of. I've got a good amount of AAAs that suck. I've got probably 300, 400 AAs on my Xbox One that just are awful. That I wouldn't play for more than 5 minutes, right? Like, it just happens to be that a lot of these AAs and stuff are, a lot of it's more of the same. And I said this about Ori 2. When Ori 1 came out, everybody loved it. It did very well. They made money on it the first week, blah, blah, blah. The sequel got greenlit. Everybody's talking about Ori. It's great, right?
Right.
You know, and at that time in 2015, we still hadn't been inundated with this flush of these AA and all these indies and literally hundreds. How many puzzle platformers have we got since then? Hundreds and hundreds. And that's why Ori 2 was less special. Great game, but the talk has already died out. Where Ori, that got a Game of the Year edition or whatever it was. It's like everybody was talking. It's like really, like everybody was talking about it for months and months and months. And now it's like nobody's already talking about Ori 2, right? Like, they played it. They're like, great game, you know, but we never got numbers. It didn't enter the MPD. You know, it's like, it didn't enter the top 50 most played games on Xbox. So you can assume that people either one didn't care, or two are, we've had so many of these types of games since the first one that people didn't care, which is a real shame, which is what happened. If you look at back when the Atari and the game crash of the 80s, there were so many games. There were so many games coming out, and nobody had any idea if they were any good. And basically, that was part of the thing. I mean, people specifically blame ET, but a lot of that had to do with all these games kept coming out, and you can get 5 games for $25, and the really good games for $40 a piece. People would opt to get the 5 for, you know, the 5 for $25 instead, and so it was like really low quality games. And that's the problem we have with these AAs and these indies. We've got hundreds and hundreds, and they release every day, and there's no really way to tell if they're good or not. And most of them are just a copy of something that we've played 20 times already. So I mean, that could be a real problem, and people don't seem to like take it seriously or whatever. But
I'm gonna ask a question, Crap.
I think it's okay to demand better.
You guys both made an interesting point halfway in the middle there, and I want to turn the question over to both of the Iron Lords that are here tonight, Nick and Cognito. I'll start with Cognito. Cognito, here's the thing: a lot of people will agree with this, and I completely think that you'll agree with this. Clearly, you know, Microsoft hasn't thrown out a AAA new IP in quite some time. Okay, fine. What do we all know? They wanted to reboot. They wanted to get out of this generation. They want to start fresh, right? Great. So if they knew that back in 2014, 2015, 2016 timeframe, you pick the year, it's irrelevant.
Right.
I'm questioning why we're still hearing, like, maybe there's even rumor now that Halo Infinite may not even be ready. Like, if they stop this generation so far back to start to prepare for next generation, wouldn't you think that this November they'd have 2 or 3 first-party games, like big AAA games ready to explode, being like, listen, we took this generation off because we knew we lost. We knew we messed up. Okay, cool. Now we're ready to prepare to come out guns blazing. That's the part where I scratch my head. It doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. Cognito, do you see my question is wouldn't you, if me and you were both the president, vice president, okay, of Xbox within the Microsoft division, okay, wouldn't I say to you, listen, like, Cognito, let's cut our losses. Let's start right now. We got about 3 years till we have to launch, 4 years. That's enough time for us to ramp up, get some real good. Okay, let's do it. So we know that Phil's been working on this. My question is why are we hearing from like Matt Booty that we're not going to really truly get anything hardcore for 12 to 24 months? And now we're even looking at a risk of Halo Infinite being delayed. And I understand that that's COVID.
That you're not getting hardcore.
Yeah, I didn't hear the Matt Booty
months.
Yeah, educate me on that point. I don't remember.
Yeah.
that.
Well, Matt Booty said you're not going to see anything utilize the Series X for 12 to 24 months.
Well, he said Halo will.
He said some games will.
Yeah. You're talking about from a scalability, utilizing the full power of the Series
Well,
X.
let me break. So the question is broken into two. I kind of convoluted the two into one. The answer, this November when the console launches, okay, we said holiday. It's not going to be December. It's going to be November, no matter what it is. We're talking about Halo Infinite, period. Like they're not going to have Fable's not going to be ready. We know that, right? We know that Hellblade 2 ain't going to be ready. We know all this stuff's not ready yet. So my question is, why isn't it ready?
Well, I think it's a couple of things going on. First off, obviously, the whole prepping part, what you're talking about as far as cutting your losses and knowing, the last generation was a loss. We know Sony absolutely dominated the generation. To me, the whole thing about ending the generation was gearing up for the studio acquisition, right? The issue is, like as we've said time and time again, games take time. Now, in reference to this year specifically, which is your point, right? What's going on with this year? As far as Halo Infinite, the vibe I'm getting from Phil is because of the fact we have the pandemic, that's the new wild card. That's the new fact. Now they have to be adaptable. They have to change on their feet. Whatever your set plan was, whether it be with E3, that's out the window. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Until their credit, they have been transparent and given us steps along the way as far as what's going on. Now, I hear where you're coming from, Mooch, because you're like, this third-party May 7th thing, yeah, that sounds cool, but I want to hear from you.
Right. What are we getting from... And listen, Cognito, listen, we are roughly around the same age group. Every single time we went home and took a new console home, from the time we were kids till this upcoming November, you always want to do what? Right after you get loving that new electronic smell when you pull that box out, the next thing you can't wait to do is pop in that game, right? Yes. Or in this case, start that game because we're in a digital era. But I'm saying with this situation, we are as of right now, and I understand we still got to hear from Phil what's going on. We don't know yet, but we do know the worst kept secret ever, Fable's not ready. We know that Hellblade 2 was in early production. We know that we're not going to see anything from Gears. We know we're not going to get any, right? We know we're not getting, these things are not coming. Double Fine just got acquired. They're not going to have their
Halo.
Well, maybe. But, and the maybe is only because of the situation that's going on with the pandemic. But I'm saying to you that that is a detrimental move, in my personal opinion, if the Xbox Series X launches with only Halo or not even Halo.
Well, let me give you a hypothetical, and let's be real, y'all. Let's just say,
it's like it's all hypothetical, man.
It's all hypothetical now. Right? Let's just say, hypothetically, Halo is ready, right? And hypothetically, and I've had this conversation, Brad, we've talked about this. Hypothetically, let's just say it is not only the AAA banger, but it's a return to form of classic Halo with new elements.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, what happened with 343?
Right. If it meets these criteria, and these are big ifs. I'm not, trying to.
All right. I'll ride with you.
This is big if. If that is your launch title, could you imagine? Let's just say it hits 90 meta, and now you have this showpiece from a multiplayer standpoint and a graphical standpoint, and you show the difference between having it on a Series X versus having it on the Xbox One X or whatever. These are the type of things that start momentum. And until this point, I know we're being hard on Microsoft, and rightfully so. They had an awful generation. But all I'm saying is we got to see what's there first before I'm ready to say definitively, if this is the Bush,
so Cognito,
I'm not excited.
Absolutely, and that was actually an outstanding answer. I'm just going to throw one. This was a part B. There is talk that possibly what happens to the Series X launch without a Halo.
That's a good point, and that's where me and you align, because my thing is I feel this is probably one of the most important Halos in the history of the franchise. Like, this is, I don't want to say make or break Xbox, but this is to a point where I don't think I think Halo Infinite needs to be great, not just good.
It's important to get mindshare back
Agreed.
from that. Definitely.
Yeah, because that brand is synonymous with Xbox. That is their flat. And let's be real, the decline. It's either the multiplayer is good one year and the single player, the narrative, people don't like it as much. You know, it's usually a one hit or miss on one aspect with 343. They have yet, in my opinion, to merge the perfect multiplayer, which people would say was 5 last year, right? Last time, with the perfect narrative, because a lot of people, including myself, was not happy with the narrative portion of Halo 5.
But Halo 4 had a great story.
And Halo 4 was kind of the opposite. So if they're able to synergize that, right? You bring that in. Let's just say you have some new gameplay mechanic. We just put a poll up on lordsofgaming.net in reference to this. You know what I'm saying? If you do those things, could you, Mooch, just imagine the mind share, and Halo Infinite's a 90-minute critic. That changes discussion. That makes, oh, wow, we got to have this game. And it's a cool launch title. So we'll see. I still think they got a couple of secrets in tuck that they're holding out on right now. I think this is a lot of chess and maneuvering in reference to what, because let's be honest, we know Sony's cooking. We know they're coming. We know they've been quiet, but we know they're doing something. Sony is coming. So the issue comes down to
very aggressive with third-party marketing deals.
Right. You got to have countermeasures, because you know Sony's going to come. Sony literally could show a JPEG of God of War 2 and a couple of, you know what I'm saying, and break the building down. We see what the logo did.
8-bit and it would still go crazy. Yeah.
I mean, Cock, to your point, they could reach back. Sony's at a point right now, 30 years into this business, they could go back in their bag and pull out a siphon filter.
Oh,
and throw a screenshot.
People have been screaming for that.
Yeah, exactly.
They show it so calm. The building shakes.
Yeah, so calm, right? I mean, they could. And there's a rumor that there's going to be an exclusive, what's it called, Crash Bandicoot, right?
Yes.
And they could show that, and people would be like, oh my god, right?
Yeah.
Like people would literally go bonkers.
That's the advantage of winning the last generation, because.
But that's not just the advantage of winning last generation. I think that is when you've been doing it well for 30 years. Right. That is, you have built in that mind
People
share.
Trust Sony, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I can remember when I was a big Xbox guy, and people were like, well, I'm like, well, listen, I'm getting an Xbox One because they've got these games that they've and I've talked about them. The first year was really good, right? Yes. And people were like, and I'm like, what's there on PlayStation? Why are you fools getting PlayStation? They're like, well, you know what? You're right. There's not a lot on PlayStation, but we trust Sony to deliver. And at that time, I'm like, you guys are crazy. They haven't really shown anything. Right. And then next thing you know, it's like, obviously I look foolish by the end of it, because Sony not only delivered, but they had delivered, unbelievably well, like beyond my expectations. Absolutely. And probably most people. So and Microsoft still has yet to do that. So hopefully they can start to do that. And they obviously know that people want to see like these, and people can argue AAA or whatever, but they obviously know that people want AAA games from them, because I've heard Phil mention it before, and people can play coy or whatever and pretend like they don't care as long as it's a good game. Like that's bullshit, in my opinion. Like people want that next that's something that hits them in the face, like Halo or Gears did, or Horizon Zero Dawn did, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's those big games that people want that. They might go, oh no, as long as it's good. Guys, it's like, come on, man, we all want those great games.
Absolutely.
Real quick, check this out, because I'm going back to what Mooch and Cog were talking about, and because Mooch talked about the new IP and stuff like that. Now, take whether or not, let's just say Halo is coming out at launch. All right. We're not thinking about anything that they will announce as well. So if they don't necessarily come out with a new IP, but they show that there are new AAA games coming.
That's fine. That's fine.
At that point in time, that's when it's like, all right, well, we got this new Halo, and with Cog's kind of like questions on it, like, this is looking really good. And they have stuff in the pipeline. They have new games and stuff coming.
Let me ask you though, Xbot. Let me ask you the same question I asked Cognito. Okay, and I know you've said it. We've all said this, and it's been the defense for Xbox for years now. Is we know that they stopped mid-generation. They stopped doing this. They stopped doing that. Started focusing immediately on next generation, which is now the series. Okay, the series.
Oh, dude,
X.
I said that so long.
Yes, thank you. No, Xbot, you're proving my point. So my question is this. If they stopped so long ago, the question is to you now, why is it they don't have more games prepared?
When it comes down to
it's 3-4 years.
they had, back then they had an idea about where they were going with a new system, but they had to put it together. They had to have, the hardware to do so. They could speculate and all that good stuff, but it took time. You had to go through R&D.
They make these games on PCs. Those components have been on the shelf for a while.
Yeah, but once you develop the hardware, because it is customized hardware, then you have the developers going in further and optimizing.
Yes, I understand where you're going with that. That's actually a good answer.
But within all that, all right, like if we're gonna go out there and talk about the issue that's facing the world, nobody expected it to happen. It's gonna affect people within the industry. We can't
blame the last 45 days for them not having a game the past 4 years. I mean, what I'm saying to you is that, that there's only so much I can ride with that. Real quick, I do want to take care of this.
If they didn't have a plan and these games weren't gold yet, you know what I'm saying? Then there's not too much you can do.
Hold on, guys. Enrique and Xbox, I'll give you guys the mic in a second. But Skylar Guard, he says, here's $5 for me to tell you to put Nate the Hate on the show. He'd make a great contributor, and his podcasts are great along with yours. Skylar, I'll definitely look into that. I'm not sure who Nate is, but I will definitely look into that. And then I've also got here, I got a few more super chats, guys. Just bear with me real quick. I have to scroll. A lot of scrolling. It's a lot of scrolling. Rated D Demonic says, I'm cheap, but exclusives don't sell me a console. It's the experience, graphics, and storytelling that grab me. We'll get both because I love games. I'm with you there, Demonic. Absolutely. And then last but not least, the great Sir X-Man who's here. He says, they talked about it before. I want Halo Racing. Sir X-Man, I don't know if that's coming anytime soon, but I'm with you. Right? I don't know about that. Go ahead, Enrique.
Warthog
against the Ghost, right? Against the Mongoose.
I would do that.
Enrique, go ahead and take the mic. I took it from you.
We used to have rocket races on Halo. Those things were badass.
That is true,
They were badass. Yeah, it was badass. I think with Microsoft maybe not showing things as soon as we want them to, I think that part of that them doing that is probably has to do with some of the backlash or some of the issues they had with games like Scalebound. So maybe they're being a little more cautious in that regard. But me as a fan, again, I don't know what's going on internally, but if it was me, if it was Enrique running the show, I'd be like, you know what? And to Xbox point about art, research and development. Well, they could they spec things out on PC. They could say, you know what, guys, we're gonna the PC equivalent of what the Series X is going to be this. It's going to be 28 Ti.
Yeah, but there's no PC that has the hardware, has all the hardware that's going to be.
That's not true. X. That's not true.
Really?
That's not true. Yeah, no, it's not true. You have a 28 Ti.
RDNA too, right?
You have NVMe.
Architecture-wise, you have to have the code going.
But we're talking about
architecture.
But they're still scaling though, so you could still scale though. So what I'm saying is they could at least give a bottom level threshold of hardware.
And they still have to put work in and develop that.
No, but they could still put out something that's graphically intensive and give you a vertical slice. Here is what we're going to show you what's capable next generation. It's not developers have done this before in the past where hardware manufacturers like Sony and Microsoft say, hey, look, this is what this thing's going to look like PC spec'd out. Do what you have to do. Like this is what you guys need to start coding or thinking about. That happens. So they could do that. But I think part of the hesitation is what they went through this generation with some of the game cancellations and making sure things are ready to show.
Right.
Hold on a second, guys. Let me just... Nick, let me... you have the mic next. Okay, just give me 1 second. Andy Guerrero, he says, quick take on Final Fantasy VII Remake, also Mindshare Marketing. Andy, we're going to get to that in a second. I appreciate that super chat. Eric says, a lot of people said that Cuphead was a AAA. And that's one of the things that, Crap was discussing earlier. Let me just read these super chats because they're a lot of super chats folks are like, read my super chat.
No, for real.
Absolutely. Mr. Miracle says, let's be real. The Spider-Man 2 reveal will overshadow any game Xbox or Nintendo will show. The power they are welding right now is more than just mindshare. It's an interesting point because, Spider-Man, listen, believe me, there's nobody else who was singing swing to the left, swing to the right, and then I went and platinum the damn thing. It was one of the, I had the most fun I've ever expected. Listen, Spider-Man,
I remember that slander, Mooch. I remember
that. Hey, Cognito, listen, people approached me for a record label on that. Listen, I gotta be honest with you, listen, I can sing. But my point being is this, all right? So X-Man says they were talking about Halo. I've already got that one. My apologies. LMNPO says, aren't you happy Microsoft isn't wasting money on TV production and refocused it on gaming? Not really, LMNPO. I like the mind share. I like that Xbox being on top and coming out there and doing some witty commercials. Digital Sword says, great show. Xbox has its place in gaming It doesn't have to be the best in the console market to be a great platform for gamers. Digital, that's well said. And the Fail Pyromancer, great to see Fail Pyromancer back here. He says, exclusives always sold me on a console, except the Atari Jaguar.
Wow.
64 watts of power sold me on that
Bruce
one.
Lee.
See that Cybermorph, Sandra? That Cybermorph? You got impressed with the 64-bit bidet? You know, like a bidet, remember?
That Jaguar, hey, that Jaguar was a beast. It was touted. It was powerful. Yeah. And the 3D, remember the 3DO cog?
Hey guys, we all know the most powerful thing wins. I mean, the Vita. That thing sold great, right? The Vita, that was the most powerful handheld. That mean it won, right? Come on, the original Xbox that won, didn't it?
Nintendo 64.
Did that win? Yeah. Hey,
Well, you know what? Listen,
64 bits though. The Jaguar was 64 bits. That's way more bits. That's way more bits than the PlayStation 1 or the Nintendo 64. So that clearly won, right? Come on, guys. It won. That's how this works.
The Geeky Nerd made a good point in the chat to counter what Elemental PO was saying. Elemental PO says, are you glad they're not wasting on that? The Geeky Nerd says they wasted money on streamers. And let me tell you something. I did a lot of shows on this, right? I brought it up week after week. I said that was not good.
King.
That was not good money spent at all.
Mooch. Stop pocket watching, Mooch. They got it. They can do it.
No! Stop pocket watching.
Cog, you know who they should have hired, Cog? They should have hired King.
Hold on. I gotta get the mic to Nick because Nick asked for it next. King LB says Sony Studios and Blueprint, Bluepoint are teasing Resistance, Legend of Dragoon, Ratchet and Clank, Silent Hill, SOCOM, in addition to sequels. They seem focused. King, good point on that one. But Nick, I did take the microphone away from you, Nick. If you have more comments on that, I do want to hear what you have to say. I think I lost them. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, the thing is like people are talking about why isn't Xbox ready to shoot now?
Yes,
and there's a lot of good reasons Xbox isn't ready to shoot right now, because people are like, well, if they changed direction in 2015, 2016, whatever you want to believe, they should have changed direction. They didn't have the studios to change direction. People don't realize how meager Xbox's first party lineup was up until they started acquiring studios. And when they started acquiring these studios had other projects that they were working on. Like, for example, Psychonauts 2. That's going to be a multi-platform game because that's delivering on Kickstarters. And then they'll start their next game, which whenever that shows up. And that is why, and like even with Halo, like Halo took so long because they went and made a new engine. Yeah. Because people were so mad about Halo 5, and for good reason. They went and made a new engine and then started working on the game. So a lot of these franchises is because Microsoft has been playing catch up, not with Sony. You remove the Sony scenario from it. Sony's on a different level and has been for years in terms of its first party lineup, because they were buying studios back in the day while Microsoft was making their first party games via third party developers, which a la, Gears being made by Epic Games, because it was a lot cheaper back in the Xbox 360 era for Microsoft to make their first party games via third party developers. And we saw with the fallout with Epic Games and everything else, that was really messy for them. Luckily enough for Microsoft, they got the Coalition, who had a really good understanding of what Gears of War was as a franchise. And I really think Gears Tactics has cemented that even more so with their knowledge of the Gears of War universe. But the thing is that they were behind from the get-go. And this pandemic is not going to help anyone. That's why Sony's so quiet. Because the last thing you want to do right now is promise on something and don't deliver. Right. And that is the biggest thing that could cripple Microsoft right
Nick,
now.
But Nick, this is one of the things I was just talking with a bunch of people in DMs before the show as well, is this. That's why Sony kind of saw this coming. They saw that their first party, because they have games coming out up until almost this generation's new console releases, right? They've got Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us 2 coming out still. My point being is this. Sony knew that their first party wouldn't be ready. What do? They go and ink a 1-year contract with Godfall and one with Quantum Error. Now, and I understand that those games may not be your bag. That's fine. That's a different conversation.
And what I'm saying coming from them.
Right, and we don't even know. They're going to have something first party, even if it's minuscule. They're going to have something first party. Bluepoint's rumored to be coming out with what is it there? Not Dark Souls, pardon me, but Demon Souls, a reboot or remaster. And my point being is they are taking steps so that when you take the box home, hear me again. When you take the box home, whether you like Godfall or not, people will buy that game just because when they pop it in, they know that they're getting only next generation quality graphics, ray tracing, etc. to come off of it, because that's what the game is designed for. It's not going to work on your PS4. So my point being is that's, and you guys might all say, oh, that doesn't interest me, Mooch. I don't care. That's fine. If it doesn't interest you, I'm not selling it to you. I'm not. I'm just telling you, when you went to go buy that SNES and you took Super Mario World home, that didn't work on your NES. You got to see what next generation was going to be the instant you sat your ass on the couch. Boom. Done. I'm playing next generation. With Xbox, okay, a lot of customers are going to say, well, I just bought a $500 box 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm not going to go buy that. And they didn't show me anything else really coming but Halo Infinite. And Halo Infinite's going to look damn good on my 6 teraflop Xbox One X.
That's the onus, though, right? Isn't the onus on them to showcase, to prove the necessary?
Yes, Lord Cognito. Yes, but you can only show us with games,
right? Well, absolutely.
If they don't have the games ready, how do they show us?
Well, and see that here's my whole thing with Sony getting credit for signing second-party deals. The thing is Microsoft couldn't sign those second-party deals unless they paid double what Sony does. Sony's got the mind share. They've got the 106 million consoles this generation. A second party will look at that and go, I feel comfortable putting my studio on the line, going, hey, I will sign that contract because they're doing well. Xbox has been making great moves. Phil Spencer's been making great moves in terms of increasing Japanese support and building up from mistakes from previous leadership. But the thing is that you're not going to be able to sign those second-party deals the same way Sony is, because everyone wants to be on a PlayStation console. That's why you see indie developers will often, before Switch, in the mid PS4 era and early PS4 era, indie developers want to be on PlayStation because they're selling like hotcakes. That's what drives this, is market share and idea. The only way Xbox could leverage a player base at this point is if they go, hey, we have Xbox Ones on the market and we have Series X's on the market and we can cross them. I don't understand the game plan to it. Like, I'm going to play the games. I'm going to buy a Series X day one. I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 day one. I'm going to buy a bunch of games. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of them. Right. I really don't care because I'm not the demographic they're talking about. But the ownership it's not on the fans, and this goes for PlayStation and Xbox because both fan bases are notorious for this. It's not up to you to justify why people should buy this box. It's up to them to sell you on the box.
Absolutely.
I should not have to have somebody spend 50 minutes explain to me why I want a PS5. Well, I want a PS5 because I want God of War 2. Okay. Why do you want a...
Well,
Nick,
that's the thing.
Nick, can I simplify it, though? What if I simplified it to this? I want a PS5 because I'm going to be able to play games that only a PS5 can play.
But Mooch, I want to jump in on that.
Go ahead.
I think at the end of the day,
yeah, but PC, we're talking about console.
There's
Xbox.
Spec,
you can't confuse the two. You cannot confuse the two. You can't have a console conversation and then say it's on PC. Go ahead, Cog.
Right. No, I was just going to say, I just think sometimes as we being the hardcore, we being the knowledgeable, we knowing what's going on.
Yes.
Honestly, sometimes I think we overestimate that a little bit. And I think that a lot, the casual gamer, right? Let's just be honest. Let's just say they were able to catch this third-party reveal, right?
Yes.
The casual gamer is going to say, oh, Assassin's Creed is on the Series X. You know what I'm saying? Like they make that marketing association sometimes, whereas we informed say, wait, no, that's everything that's on
everywhere. Right. Yes.
Yes. Microsoft's concern is the onus is on them. I completely agree with you, Mooch. Like the onus is on them, yes, to prove why we need this Series X, right? Because everything is cross generational and things of that nature. It's up to them. But I think what we overstate is because us as the hardcore, we've got these big rigs. We've got all this power. We want to see what Microsoft can really flex from a performance standpoint. I think doesn't necessarily care about that as much as we do.
I'll buy that.
No, they don't.
But see, Cognito's right. And Cognito's 100% right, but my point is this. So I hate using small samples or census, right? But I have a group of friends that are casuals. They're both they're casuals, right? But they have a group of them. A group of them have PlayStations, and a group. No, there's another small group of them that also have Xboxes, and they're completely casual. Small group. It's a small. Well, they're gonna hear me out. My point being is that I can't get either side. I can't get either side to buy the other one. Because not because of console wars. They don't give a shit about all that shit. They don't even know what we're talking about. But the one thing that they care about is this. They're like, I bought the box, and this is what I'm playing. I don't care as long as like Cognito said. You got God of War, or not God of War, pardon me, Assassin's Creed. That's going to be everywhere. So as long as they know that they can get it on that current box, they're not going to go buy an Xbox. Listen, what Nick just said is what I said, and I think everyone on this panel, everyone's going to have a PS5 on this panel. Everyone's going to have an Xbox One or Xbox Series X. So yeah, we are in that group, but the casuals are going to stick with what they have. And Cog, that's the problem here. Because listen, again, if I put us all, and Enrique, I don't mean to cut you off, but you have to hear me out here. My issue is this. If all of us on the panel are working for Microsoft, it is our job to try and get people to jump from one platform to the other, right? Okay, so hear me out. The thing is I agree with everything that Cognito said, everything that Nick said. But if that's the case, and they can't reach out to the casual and get them to jump ship, because right now, all your games, all your controllers, all your accessories, your PSVR, it all comes with you. It's the hardest time for Microsoft to try and steal people back to their platform when they lost 2-1. So what I'm saying to you is, what you have to do is you have to show the product. You have to show the game.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, when November comes, hypothetically, we kind of listen. We could say we don't know. We could say we don't know. But we know Fable. We just said worst kept secret Fable, right? Hellblade 2. We know that Double Fine's working on something that's far out. We know these games are all far out. So if Microsoft's planning to steal the group, that there's going to be an influx of people buying PS5s, that casual group that just goes out and buys that PS5 because it's the next gradual progression. How do you steal them over with just Halo Infinite that's already playing on your box? I'm just saying, it's not enough. It's not enough.
We've already said this real quick, and again, what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to Xbox, day one, they're not trying to, like, if they do flip people over day one and they come over and buy a Series X or whatever, then yeah, that's all well and good. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop the mind share that progressively over time it becomes more and more as people are getting an Xbox, and it's not really
this fall though. You're gonna have Call of Duty. Call of Duty again, marketing deal with Sony. FIFA again, 2 largest games. Call of Duty being in UK and US, and FIFA being in Asia and Europe, all on Sony. Like you guys were saying earlier, it's associated with the marketing.
Most people are going to go towards Sony,
right? That's what I'm trying to say. So what you got to do is Microsoft, and this goes to what Nick was saying. Nick, my answer to you would be this, and it's not necessarily the right answer. I'm saying it's an answer. Is yes, Microsoft would have to pay double, right, to get what Sony has because of the install base. Guess what? Well, we've all said it. This is the $1 trillion company. Spend the money appropriately. Spend the money appropriately.
Let me counterpoint this for you, because I'm selfish.
Talk about it.
I'm selfish. I could really give to hell. Like, at the end of the day, both these companies are hugely successful. Microsoft is in third. Sony's in first. Nintendo is doing their own thing and absolutely destroying every sales figure that's ever been invented. But the thing is at the end of the day, I would rather Microsoft invest in their first-party studios than buy marketing deals, because I'm selfish. I don't care if Billy down the street buys an Xbox and plays FIFA on it. I don't really care. I want Microsoft to show me games that I care about. I want them to bring back franchises that matter. I want them to give me content I care about. Give me that Gears 5 single-player DLC. Take a risk. Give me stuff I care about. Don't sit there and piddle away money. Sony can sit there and spend that money, because you know what? You're giving me The Last of Us Part 2. You're giving me Ghost of Tsushima. If you want to spend $500 million on FIFA, go right ahead.
Right.
But give me the content that matters first, then buy your marketing deal. That's all I'm going to say.
Undead, what you just said, though, would be the path to converting people over. You start at the core, right? Yes. You win those people back, and then you build from there. They do that, and I think that's what would help them, get back to maybe being, back to where they were with the 360. But I will say this to your point, Nick, about Sony. Microsoft having to pay double because Sony has the market share. Sony, the PlayStation, is a global brand, and it really surprises me when I see people say things like, "Oh, they're in trouble." I'm like, they've been around for 30 years now. They overthrew Nintendo when they had no business doing that. They have built relationships with developers. They have built trust with gamers. I don't see that changing. And to what Mooch was saying earlier, and Cog, you and I have talked about this a lot.
Absolutely.
About next gen being a clean slate.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, and you're saying like and we disagree on this because
we disagree. Yeah, definitely.
There is data that shows that this generation was the generation to win because people aren't going to leave their ecosystems now.
Yeah.
They're not
going
to.
Ecosystems are tied much more tightly.
They're trophies.
All I'm gonna say is my counterpoint to that, and you're absolutely right, Brad. You know we've gone at this ad nauseum. All I'm gonna say is all of us, majority of us here on CrossFire are OG gamers. We've seen
Facts.
We have no doubt.
We've seen Nintendo at its height. We've seen Sega at its height. We've seen at times where these companies seem invincible. All I'm saying is, again, Sony, they won the generation they were supposed to win. All I'm saying is, right now, if we got to look at it in vacuum, as of right now,
you sound like code now.
Who is making the moves? Who is being transparent? Who is getting their base excited about the next generation?
But God,
hold on. You have to say definitively, as of right now, that is Microsoft, right? They are doing the correct things to invigorate their base, right? Now they still got to show improve. We all agree they still got to have the third party stuff, and we all agree. Sony's in position. They, like Mooch said, they've got Ghost of Tsushima. They still got these great PlayStation 4 games that they could end the year off and still be fine. All I'm saying is, we've been around the block long enough to see empires fall. Anything can happen. It is a clean state in the sense of next generation. You've got to show improve. Even the mighty Sony has to show. Because if they come out the box and if there's anything flopping or anything not up to expectation of what they set, and like I said, if Halo Infinite magically happens to be like a 90 meta and it galvanized the base and they happen to have another surprise, all these are hypotheticals. I agree, but things can change. You still have to play the game. That's all I'm saying. You can be a four-time champion, but you gotta play the game.
I'm gonna tell you right now, we are gonna see something from Sony very soon.
I hope
so.
That's
happening.
No, I'm not. Don't hope.
It's May.
Where they at? No,
it's gonna happen.
We will be seeing.
But
I cannot tell you how I know this, but
yes, I know
Hollywood Insider. Hollywood Insider.
Woo,
no, it's happening. It's happening.
Exclusive. Come on, Artemis, bring it. I want to hear it.
I can't tell you on air, man.
Come on, man. You got me excited. I thought something exclusive.
Cog, I'm not disputing. You're right. Microsoft has done so much to improve where they were, and I would never. I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
But you can't discount, and I understand Sony's got to show us. But Sony has a good track record like Nintendo.
They gotta show and prove.
But they've done it for 30
until you show and prove the next generation. I have to look at you. What have you done for me lately?
Yes.
You can't just say, yo, because you won 5 championships, automatically you're gonna win the 6. You gotta play the game.
But the problem is though, what Enrique's saying, Cog, is that
did you ever doubt Michael Jordan?
He lost to the Orlando Magic one year.
Okay, that was
but he left. Kenny and Shaq got him out of there one year.
Wait, did you doubt the Yankees?
About playing 40 games?
Yes. Not every year is guaranteed.
But this, okay. But what I'm saying is they have a track record.
I agree.
Of being at the and this isn't going to change unless they totally.
You've seen it. You've seen the Dreamcast. You have.
Okay, but Sony is not Sega
having terrible generations. Look at the Wii U and look at the Switch. Okay, we have the Switch was in the bushes with the Wii U.
Yeah.
Could anyone have predicted the Nintendo Switch would be as dominant as it is right now?
That's they already did.
Sony has never been in that position like Nintendo.
No, they have. They have with the PS3.
Yeah, hold
on, guys.
That's what they started.
Hold on. Let's back this up. Hold on. Sony was almost bankrupt with the PS3. They sold that console at $100 or something loss.
Yes, a lot. Yes, it was almost $200.
Yeah, they almost bankrupted the company because
But Nick, that was also a result of the Great Recession too.
Okay, hold up. Hold on. What are we in the middle of right now? What are we in the middle of right now? And we're releasing $500 consoles in a pandemic situation where what's the unemployment rate right now? I don't know. I'm not from the States, but unemployment,
over 30 million are unemployed.
Unemployment rate is hitting an all new high, and both Microsoft and Sony are swinging out with high end, expensive consoles. Anything could happen, and discounting the fact, and the thing is like, I do not think PlayStation will fail or fall, but to say that, well, they can't because they have a great history. The Wii went to the Wii U. The PlayStation 2, which is the best-selling console of all time, went to the PS3. They salvaged that, but they almost killed themselves on that.
They did,
Nintendo almost killed themselves on the Wii U. I don't think this generation we're going to see
Xbox did
either
kill
of these.
themselves on the Xbox One.
Yeah, like Xbox would cease to exist. Xbox would cease to exist if it was not owned by Microsoft. Because there was no way that anyone would have funded this through the rebuild that they've done.
Right. They kept patching it and they held the wound because they could afford to.
Can I just say, let me say one more thing, Mooch. I'll tell you what. There's one constant in gaming that's never going to go away. You know what that is?
PC.
PC.
Oh, there he is again.
Enrique, come on, bro.
But
so
now listen,
He's not wrong, though.
and listen,
Bro,
I like.
Dude, I saw that coming from like 8 miles away.
I should have
you know
seen
why
it coming. Set me up.
PC is always upgrading. There's always upgrading. There's always there's always something with PC that you can do that'll improve your performance and things like that. So he's not wrong. You probably won't see. You might see an increase of PC gaming this generation coming around, especially with the Xbox Series X having a lot of their games going towards PC anyways. So you're probably going to see a lot of people owning a PC and having a PS5.
Game Pass and xCloud are looking really good
Then
for the
again,
future with this plan.
But you also might not see people buying a PS5 if they start seeing more games going to PC from the PS5 generation. So
I'll tell you, Goldblum, I'll tell you what, if Sony said, hey, you know what, we're going to put our first party games day and date on PC, I wouldn't buy a PS5.
Right, exactly. Exactly. There's no point at that, to buy a PS5.
We got to be.
Actually, I might though. I say that, but I might.
You just said you're gonna buy an Xbox. What
Because
you
we
talking
are the
about?
hardcore enthusiasts, though. Everyone does not look at the PC. Some people just want to turn that box on, don't want to have to deal with it.
That's right.
That
I
is
agree
true.
with that.
You're right.
You have to be careful as the hardcore.
My PC's fine. Okay.
You got to be careful. There's a lot of the casuals. A lot of people just want simplicity. And
my wife already ran into hiccups playing Fortnite on PC, and she was
I
almost
can't even launch. I'm having issues launching Streets of Rage on the Game Pass for PC. I can't get it.
Really?
Dude,
I've had the hardest time, Cognito, with playing anything on PC Ultimate Game Pass.
You got to upgrade.
Every time
Cog,
No,
you gotta
it's not
remember,
about
you gotta
that.
blame
I've had-
Game Pass for that. It's not PC, it's Game Pass's fault.
Well, I gotta be honest with you,
You're on
I've had-
Crossfire right now, bro.
Yeah, but no,
It runs better on Steam, Xbox. It's got more features.
he's speaking the truth.
I wouldn't doubt that at all because Steam
No, actually,
has
it
a
does.
better-
Steam actually has more features.
Yeah, they just have a better feature. They have a better, infrastructure than Microsoft's Windows Store on the PC. That's
Well, JB Golden.
Steve got to stop cheating in Destiny because I'm going to Stadia for play my PvP.
Yeah, Stadia, baby.
They got to stop cheating. That's what they got
Let's
to
go.
Okay.
How did we get on Stadia?
Hold on.
Give it to Mooch.
Listen, we're just gonna sprinkle a little Stadia on this, but real quick, JB Golden. JB Golden in the chat. No, it's no Stadia. He says, if we're talking Sony, always be on top. This is what I think Nick was alluding to. Can we remember when Sony was for half of what was he saying here? Remember where Sony was for half of the PS3 era? Free games and PlayStation Plus was a direct response to Microsoft. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you can see, just Incognito said this, but I want to ask Cognito and I want to ask Goldblum. I want to ask Nick because these are our guests tonight. I want to ask and Brap. Here's my thing. I'm just taking this. Listen,
though, really?
Yeah, it's a good question. My thing is this. So to be honest with you, I take a step back, I take a deep breath, and I say, okay, look, there's things that I look forward to. Put the console wars aside, please. Put them aside.
Please.
Let's stop it. Stop. What I'm asking you as a consumer, what you get excited for, you're going to go out there and you're going to plunk down anywhere between $400 and $600. We don't know what these costs are going to be yet. I get excited for new, right? I will pay you sometimes just for different, right? Or like Cognito said, and I say a lot of the times too, what have you done for me lately? What are you giving me right now? And
NVIDIA 30 series.
When I see the DualSense, okay, and I'm hearing about the new UI, and I'm hearing about being able this new PS5. The rumor that they're gonna have this new in the store where you can play the demo of the game all the time and prepare yourself before you play it, and this and that. All this stuff is new design, and then you see Xbox, same controller, added a button, right? It's gonna be the same UI we're using right now, with probably just like a tile to the left or a tile to the right. Okay, right? Listen, no, Cog, I'm not Cog. Hold up,
he doesn't want to talk about
hold up.
latency or anything like that.
I'm not trying. Listen. The reason Cog right now is laughing because he knows. Listen, we have all been on UI beta for 7 years. 7 years we've been in the beta. Okay, all I'm saying to you is, look, even if you want to say I'm wrong, and I know the chat can't wait to, Mooch, you're wrong. I got it. But my point is this, even if I'm wrong, you know the UI when you take home the Xbox Series X, it's not going to be that different than what we have now, right? A tile is going to be shifted left, right, up, or down. You pick the tile, you pick the direction, I'll ride with you, right? So what I'm saying to you is, I want something new. And when I saw the controller, the people go, Mooch, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I got it. But listen, but I'm going to ask all of you guys that say that to me right now this. Didn't you tell me before the Xbox One came out, because I remember it, 360 is the best controller? The 360 is the best controller in the world! Well, then why'd they change it? Why'd they change it? Because they made it better. What I'm saying to you is, make it, every time you have to have gradual progression. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's got to be something. And the fact they put a share button on there, that's 7 years old. That's 7 years old.
Well, that's the
Stadia have a share button?
Xbox. But that's
yes,
the problem
they
with
do.
The Xbox.
They can't share nothing though.
They can't share it. You can take a picture, but you can't put it nowhere. Yeah, right. You can look at it yourself, right?
For me, I think the biggest issue is the fact that the games will be the biggest issue for me. Plus the controller. I like the PS5 controller. I think the PS5 controller looks really slick and cool. But also the Xbox Series X controller does not look any different from the Xbox One controller.
No, it's the same.
Honestly,
I disagree.
I do not like the Xbox One controller because of the bumpers. Because I'm a huge Souls fan, and I play a lot of RPGs and stuff. And a lot of these RPGs nowadays use the shoulder buttons. And if those shoulder buttons are anything like the Xbox One shoulder buttons, I am gonna be furious.
Hey,
I think they fixed the shoulder buttons, but go ahead, Enrique.
I hope so.
No, I was gonna say actually the controller is different. The thumbsticks have a little more texture grip to them.
Oh boy.
Yo, guys, the difference. Hold on, the difference is going to be under the hood. We have not got our hands.
That's what she said.
Yo, when it comes to the latency and what Xbox is claiming when it comes to input latency and stuff like that, it's more about things that will matter to a gamer, not like the outer look of the controller. I think they felt like, and this could be the wrong way to go, but I think they felt like the innovation is supposed to be on the inside, and they're trying to make sure that the latency is down to the lowest possible number that they can go. And for that, you're not really going to know anything until you get your hands on the
Xbox. You're 100% right there, but there's developers that are coming out right now saying that the ingenuity that went into the DualSense and the new things that they're creating with that controller, it's given the developers more room to do things with.
Didn't the developers love the speaker on the PS4?
Listen, you can say whatever you want. If you play Days Gone, that speaker was fire.
Can I chime in here?
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
So we're talking UIs, and I agree. Microsoft has come out and transparently said that the Xbox One X or the Xbox One UI is basically going to transition to next generation.
Yes,
and I agree. Some of the stuff I've seen about the PS5 dashboard is really cool.
Yeah,
but it's all from Reddit and 4chan.
Right.
Sony has not said a single drop.
Agreed, Nick.
At this point, after all the PlayStation 5 stuff and what Mark Cerny came out and said and everything else, I am beyond trusting anything that comes from 4chan and Reddit for the simple reason is that it sets unnecessary expectations. And that's the biggest downfall that I think Sony has been battling uphill against. Because you know what? That Mark Cerny talk was amazing. But because people went into it with all these expectations that a bunch of random people on Reset Era and Reddit created out of nowhere, no one really got a great experience out of it. Everyone was like, well, where's this? You promised this. They never said that.
That's right.
And that's my biggest problem.
Very well said, Nick. Yes.
And that's my biggest problem with people, because we saw it like a few days ago. We had a Sony employee joins Xbox Game Studios. It was a fake LinkedIn profile. And we've got all this.
Hey, shout out Clobrill for that, right? You're the man. Shout out Clobrill.
But at the same time, we have people running around Reset Era going, oh, well, the PlayStation 5 does this, this, and this. And then Mark Cerny comes in and goes, no, it actually does this. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I knew that all along. The thing is that everyone's cooped up in their houses right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's gangster crazy. And I've even seen it scale up on Twitter. I did an article just covering someone speaking out, defending Randy Pitchford. I got over 86 DM threats on Twitter. Calling me various names and everything else because it went on Reset Era and a bunch of other sites. People are bored right now. They will make stuff up just to create a news cycle. There's literally a video out there of someone going, hey, I made a 4chan rumor that got covered by 30 different websites because I just pulled stuff out of my arse. And that's what people are doing right now. Wait for official statements before saying definitive statements. I have no doubt that everything's going to be fresh. It's going to be new. It's going to be cool. But until there's official announcements, I don't give credit to anything till I physically see it.
No, that's well said. That's absolutely well said. But I will. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say something. If you're looking for, the least amount of input lag, I want to recommend PC gaming. So I just leave it at that. Go ahead, Mooch.
Oh, wow.
Don't forget to throw that cheating in that multiplayer. Don't forget.
Hey, we're not talking about that, cock.
And so Enrique says YouTube can go and get a pre-made PC and game on it.
Listen, here's the thing. Nick made a good point, and Nick, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to go ahead and say that Nick was 100% right. We are, a lot of the times on podcasts, and I think everybody on this show has a podcast or is on a podcast. You guys know that we do kind of have discussions, and healthy discussions, about rumors and leaks and things like that. So it makes things interesting. Otherwise, the shows would be, well, they'd be non-existent. But my point being is, there's the newest one, and here's one where I find this one to be just a tad bit funny, because the great Xbot448 is a fan of Paul at Red Tech Gaming, and I am also a fan of Paul's. He does a lot of deep dives into really, like, if you didn't like what Mark Cerny did for the deep dive of the PS5, then you might not like Red Tech Gaming, but I like it. But that's what Paul does. He gets into the weeds. And Titus, who's, I believe, or Titix, if I'm saying it right, he is a PlayStation insider in air quotes. I don't know him. I've never spoke to him. But he's been talking about how. Thank you, Enrique, for the clarification. But my point being is, I think that they've said that the PlayStation has worked Sony's worked very closely with AMD, and they've worked on making a custom chip so that they would have some of the RDNA 3 in there, and then. Titix, he said something like, I heard that this is coming, and then Paul from Red Gaming Tech chimed in and said, I've now heard from multiple sources that he trusts.
Well, he has 2 sources that he said.
Well, that's multiple. And, right, thank you. Thank you for redefining that. Right, thank you. Yes, technically.
Hey, don't talk about somebody I listened to, because I actually listened to him. And
I read his tweet. Nonetheless. So he said, he said 2 in the video. But my point being is that he's confirming this now and saying he firmly believes that this is true, that they've worked that in there. And I think a lot of times when people say, well, Mooch, where are you going with this? No, I'm not trying to say that RDNA 3 is all full-fledged in PS5. Absolutely not. But a lot of times when you stop and look at what the PS4 has done, right? This is what Paul was saying in one of his videos with Red Gaming Tech, is that Sony did something similar with the PS4 when they went out and asked developers, and they worked very closely with AMD. That they tried to integrate future technology into a current chip so that they could utilize that power later into the development cycle of that console. And my point being is that I think that that's the same thing that Sony's doing here. And a lot of people are criticizing the Series X, saying Series X is going to be brute force, right? It is an absolute beast. Right? They've said that, right? It eats monsters for breakfast. So it is an absolute beast. But it is built like kind of, let me put it this way. So you have a Chevy Corvette, right? Very fast 0 to 60 in a straight line. Now, all of a sudden, you put that up against an M5 BMW, and if it's a straight line, I bet you the Corvette probably beats it out, right, 0 to 60. But, and guys, don't quote me here. I'm not a car guy. But I do know this much, right?
The C8 Corvette, they conquered it all.
That's what I'm saying. But the minute that Corvette makes a curved turn, now it's a different story. right? Because now the BMW has better handling around corners going high speeds. So my point being is that each car or each console is designed differently. Not one necessarily better than the other. It depends on what the obstacle they're trying to feed. So what?
Yeah, I mean, look at Xbox One. That was with DirectX 12 in mind. Remember?
Right. Exactly. And now we're getting it next generation. Right?
Yeah, DX12.
Right.
DX12, guys. Hey, guys, did you hear that Xbox has DX12? Come on, man. It's that secret sauce, man. That's what we've been waiting for.
Absolutely, crap. The
secret sauce.
It is. We jarred it.
Great, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Crap, I actually believe that, man. I believe Sir, like, X Media, remember him?
Yeah.
Hey, so Mooch had his right-hand man on Crossfire once, and I
listen, I get people on the show.
That guy, he was gone, man. He was like telling people that the launch Xbox One was over 5 T-flops and I was going to do VR and all this stuff, and I was just like,
I remember that crap.
Ridiculous,
that shit was hilarious.
The good old fashioned Twin Titans Xbox One.
Yeah, there's dual GPUs. Wow, whatever. And I was like, listen, I was an Xbox guy like no other back then, but even I didn't believe that shit. I was like, listen, the Xbox One is fine the way it is. It plays our games. We were getting games.
Absolutely.
Like what did it matter? Like to me, it didn't really matter.
It's the same thing. Like, listen, and that's the thing. You know, people say keep the same energy, but that's the thing. I'm trying to keep the same energy here, but I'm trying to say this the same thing here. I was more than fine with what the Xbox One was day one. Okay, I've always enjoyed it. It's my primary console to go to. So my point being is that right? Exactly. So my point being is when we talk about next generation, you know, when we're like, oh, you know, we're gonna have 12 versus 10. If they're both doing 4K 60, like then it's gonna come down to the small nuances that the engineers that we don't know about, right? That are gonna make that. Like I said, it's the Corvette versus the BMW. It's about when the consoles make that sharp turn. That's when we're going to notice the difference in the handling and the precision and the performance. It's not about right. We're always listen on Twitter and on YouTube. All we ever look at is the 0 to 60 straight line. Right. God forbid somebody makes a turn. That's when you want to see these things shine. You know what I mean, Cognito? Absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say here. And what I'm seeing as we get closer to November, is I'm seeing a little bit more coming out of the Sony talks that people are breaking down. I'm seeing a little bit more come out of the DualSense. I'm seeing a little bit more come out of the devs talking about the RDNA. And now you see Red Gaming Tech. This again, you just don't want to believe it. That's fine. I'm not saying it's gospel. I'm saying it's a talking point.
No, I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
I just want to jump in because you guys you make a fantastic point, Mooch. The thing that you're saying that we have to be cognizant of, and at the end of the day, the power stuff is great. Like you said, raw horsepower is great, but we want to see what these developers do. And this is where I give Sony the advantage. If they have the track record, because Brap loves track records.
Yeah, wait. I want you to say that again. Say what was that?
I know you lost. I'm going to give you one right now. Yeah. They have the track record of doing more with less. Yes. Look at God of War. Look at these are graphical showpieces on technically inferior
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Exactly. So that what I have more confidence as far as from a development standpoint, their studios, game design, they are very creative. And it's up to Microsoft. Again, it goes back to Microsoft. The onus is on them with their first party to showcase that, because for us as the hardcore, some of the complaints have been the kiddie games, the less graphical showcase games when it comes to their first party. It's on them to show exactly that they need to show those AAA kind of serious, mature, graphical fidelity showpieces where you go, damn, that's Series X. Like, this is what I'm
Thank you,
about.
Cognito.
And that I know is where you guys are going. And trust me, we're on the same page there. They still have a lot to prove. The onus is on them to show why the Series X is
Cognito. Both of these consoles.
I think I'm gonna track record how many times I've banged Brap's mom.
Oh,
so
really?
This is a PG-13 show.
That's not funny, man. My mom passed away 10 years ago.
Oh,
I know she didn't. You fuck. I know she didn't.
But I mean, no, Cognito, you made a hell of a point, and I just want to kind of reiterate what you said. You know, but the thing about it, at the end of the day, when these consoles come out, if a game or a developer, okay, third party, let's say third party, let's leave first party out of it right now. Third party development team decides to make a game 4K 60, okay? They're both going to do 4K 60. We know both consoles are capable of that. Now it's going to be, what did they think about on either side to one up their competitor? And I'm telling you, I'm hearing a little bit more of the one up stuff from developers, not from Mooch. I don't know.
What developers have you talked to?
No, they're all on Twitter and everything. They're all saying like the DualSense is going to give this and it's going to do that.
Read that era stuff in your
Xbot. You literally said I love Red Gaming Tech 2 weeks ago. Now I'm telling you Red Gaming Tech saying it. You're like, screw that! I don't know what you're talking about, Mooch. Where's your source? It's your source.
Red Gaming Tech.
It's not my source. It's your source.
What Red Gaming Tech is trying to do, he tries to do a PlayStation type video. He tries to do a PC type video and then an Xbox type video. He's trying not to kind of like, go to one side or the other.
Okay.
And when it comes to future proofing, on the Xbox side, there's something called the velocity architecture that we have to look into as well. Because
actually,
so it's not just SSD speed. That's what you're saying?
No, well, actually, I think we had Optimus Code talk about this. He even said on paper, Sony's I/O and their unpacking is actually faster than velocity.
All right, so you can take Optimus's word for it and all that stuff.
I mean, Optimus made video games. How many video games have you made?
Yeah, dude.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. How many video games have you made, Xbox?
Anybody that calls people FN in Twitter on a daily basis, I'm probably not thinking they're a level-headed person, man.
Whoa. Just because he said that doesn't mean he's not level-headed. No, you can't say that about it. Come on.
I've been on Brad.
At the end of the day, there's still information that needs to come out on all sides. Am I saying that the PS5 is going to be like horseshit and everything? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, there's stuff that needs to come out on both sides. Now, maybe Sony should finally say something to everybody and really put out there what is exactly going on. I mean, when it comes to Xbox, they've already had people taking apart and putting back together a Series X and stuff.
The reality of the matter is,
a little bit, bro.
The reality of the matter is that. Hold on. Let me just say something real quick, and I'll let you go, Dark. That's what I said to your mom last night. The reality of the matter.
Welcome to your mom episode.
Yeah, exactly. Xbox started.
My mom died 20 years ago.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna say something.
Dude, how is that true when you're only 18?
You were you? You weren't you?
Yeah. I'm your father. So I lost. No, what I'm saying is like Xbox. Like what I would say is that ultimately, like what the ultimate thing that we need to see, and you're right. Like we have to like wait and see on paper. At least we know what these consoles do, but the ultimate benchmarks is going to be the games. And that's it. That's the bottom line. I think what Ko was saying was on paper. You talk about the what was it called, the velocity. Yeah, he said Ko did say.
You don't even know what it's called, man. You're a YouTuber. Come on.
Hey, I know what it's called. Hey, look, I can barely remember your mom's name sometime. Give me a break. So look.
Just tell her to write it down for you, man, and don't lose the paper, okay?
Yeah, she tried, but she dropped the paper. I couldn't pick it up on the floor.
That's what I love. That's what I love about BRAP. They give to the senior citizens. And
that's nasty. Oh my god, I love Xbox.
Give it back to the nursing home, huh, BRAP?
Okay. Because I lost my train. No, but like the velocity architect, like the coach said, it's very fast. He thinks so on paper, though. What Sony has is a smidgen faster, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's on paper. The ultimate benchmarks are going to be the games, But what I would say this: the ultimate benchmark's always going to be PC, and I'll just leave it at that.
No, dude. I mean
that's his go-to right there.
What took you so long to come over then?
PS5.
If the ultimate benchmark has always been PC, then why was you muddling around on a console for the last 30 years?
You know why? Because ignorance is bliss, and I was ignorant for a long time.
Saw the light.
And I saw the light. Hey, I was saved by PC Christ himself. I was saved. I saw the light. I said hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Failed pyromancer.
So hold up.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Hold up. So,
Yeah.
so Brad sat there and ignored PC gaming in the 90s when it was the best thing since sliced bread. But decided to jump in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, Brad,
because wait for it. There's more textures.
Wait. So actually, you know what, Nick? It's funny. I actually did.
If you haven't played StarCraft, then you can't say shit, bro.
Oh, I did play StarCraft, and I played King's Quest.
Did you play Diablo 2?
Yes, and I played Unreal Championship, and I played the first Diablo. I played the first Wolfenstein.
We'll never really
the
know
first
what
Quake.
games he played, bro.
That is true.
Yo,
we won't know. He doesn't. That's the one thing he has track records, right? But that's the one thing he doesn't track.
Oh,
yo, real quick, can I just shout out?
Just like my women, I don't track them either, so you know.
Well, listen, hold on, real quick. I want to listen.
Guys,
let me give. Hold on, guys.
You came up with a great point that not only does PlayStation have to come up with the games, but also does Xbox. Xbox definitely has to show off games too, because games are going to be king next year, next generation.
Yeah.
They've always have been. You know, like that's the problem with a lot of people. I think a lot of people see it as like, oh well, it's the features, it's the
flops.
everything else.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not.
It's the games, man. And
there's still people talking about how
ultimately what's
amazing
gonna
God
come
of War,
down.
and I'm actually playing God of War through again to try and get the plat. And I'm going to tell you something. I hadn't played it. I beat it when it first came out, and I haven't touched it until just recently. And I got to tell you something. It's still jaw dropping. Phil Pyromancer says PS5 has earned gamers' blind trust for next gen, and that's something that we talked about earlier. But I do want to kind of get into this, guys, before we get to the end of the show.
Can I just say real quick?
Go ahead.
There are almost 530 people watching
Yeah,
now.
hit the like button.
130 likes. Come
How
on.
can you not like it? It's
Look.
great.
They're all here for Dark's mom. Let's go.
That's not what
rough.
Gregor said about your mom.
Oh,
So listen, guys, real quick, let's do this. I do want to kind of get into this. So
Doggy Doggy said beer is king. Woo!
I don't want to
Right.
talk about any leaks or anything like that went on, but I'm confused with
Don't talk
all
about
the.
Gobo's mom like that.
I'm confused with the Naughty Dog hate, guys, right now. I don't see where Naughty Dog's getting the hate that they're getting. I don't get it. I'm confused. There's a lot of reports that were out there about crunch, and we did that on the show a few weeks back. You know, you can go back and check it out. I
Mooch,
personally,
do you crunch at work?
I think everybody crunches at work that's successful. It's just the way it is, right? That's work, right? I don't care what you do, just before you punch out, your boss says, "Hey, before you leave, could you do this?" And you're like, "Dude, I'm about to leave." "Oh yeah, but I need you to do." That's crunch. When you still have to stay and
The film industry was built on crunch. Okay,
Right.
The film industry, any entertainment industry, is built on crunch because you know why? We need to get that film or whatever that piece of entertainment out to the masses as quickly as possible, so we can recuperate our revenue on it. So it's really, like this whole thing with Naughty Dog. I get the outrage by people saying, like things about the leaks and stuff. I've seen some of the leaks. I have my theory on these leaks, but I'm not going to say it here. Just because I think a lot of people are really upset about it right now. I might say it in a later, episode or something like that. But I think with the leaks being out there, it is a big, huge, red flag as to what, Naughty Dog is doing. But at the same time, you got to think about it like they're really trying to recuperate as much revenue as they can.
yeah.
And granted, they did delay it indefinitely, and then all of a sudden they came out with the June release
Miraculously.
and I think a lot of it had to do with the leaks, but I think a lot of it also had to do with trying to get that revenue for the game, because they know with these leaks being out there that it's really going to hamper them a little bit.
Right.
Not a lot, but it's going to hamper them a little bit.
Let me say this real quick. I want to say shout out to the Ash and Luca. Luca, my New York is here. She's in the chat. She says, "So, are we doing your mom jokes, Mooch, on your guest?" Like, honestly, Luca, I'm with you. Thank you for bringing that up. I think you're getting a little out of hand. I've been trying to take it easy. There's too many guys doing your mom jokes. That being said,
That's crap, dude.
It is.
Wait. This started pre-game, and
it did start pregame.
I did not.
Pregame. Luca, I just want you to know, if you want to know the two people to reprimand afterwards, it would be Dark Optimus and Brap. So the two that you're going to have to talk to after the show.
It would be Xbot too.
Xbot might have dabbled in it. Eddie Lopez says, hit the like button. What's up, Mooch? Eddie, what's up, buddy? Good to have you here. So great to have Luca here. Luca, it's awesome when you're in the chat. Ooh. And I got to be honest with you guys.
Hold on. Y'all got the legend in the chat right now. Y'all got Lord Bill Stillwell of the Cognition team and Project X Cloud. Salute him out.
Bill here?
Yeah, Crunch at a gaming company is not the same as Crunch elsewhere. I've done it on both sides of the industry, and it is different. Speaking words of wisdom. Shout out to the Lord of Cognition team.
Very cool. That's Wall of Bill?
Yes, the Wall of Bill in there, man. You got legends in this.
I can't even listen. I'm scrolling as fast as I can, and I'm also trying to keep the panel from keeping it to PG-13. So I apologize, Bill. Big honor to have you here, Bill. I appreciate that. It's, you know, they always say you never know who's listening, and I appreciate that. It's great to have someone like Bill in the house. We have to have Bill on the show one time. But you know, the thing about it is, I gotta ask you guys a question. Do you think that this, like the Naughty Dog thing? I think that when you take the idea of crunch, you have to look at something. And again, I'm not a developer, and I don't pretend to be one. Okay, but my family, a lot of my family was in the restaurant business for years. And that's why you get all these analogies, and I kind of make jokes to it. But to be honest with you, the entire restaurant business is built on crunch. Okay, there's a lot of restaurants that close at 11 o'clock at night, and they're still working until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You're probably going, well, what are they doing? They're done serving food. Well, there's prep, there's work, there's clean, there's things to do. Okay, and these folks
go home with all those sweet tips, man.
But this is why we have a lot of respect for developers, right? This is why we hold them on that pedestal, because they do bust their hump for our enjoyment. And if we're going to do one, then you have to do the other. The idea that they crunch is not a bad thing. And I think Naughty Dog's getting a bad rap for that. And there was another individual, I won't mention him by name, that was on Twitter. And he said, I'm so happy. I've been a temp, and I've been finally promoted. And I got my contract awarded. I'm full-time Naughty Dog employee. I cannot wait to be a full-time employee come next Monday. And I'm paraphrasing, but my point being is that this is a person that's worked there for years as a temp, couldn't wait to get in there as a permanent. Like, you have to understand that.
Because you put that on your resume. Like, I worked at Naughty Dog.
Can I chime in on this?
Go ahead, Nick, please.
I work in Crunch. Like, Crunch is my life.
Yes.
Crunch is my life. I work in the utilities industry.
Yes.
So my work week can fluctuate from 38 hours a week to upwards of 100 some weeks, depending on what people's demands are, storms, etc. When I signed up for that job, I knew what I was getting myself into. And the thing is that there's an industry-wide problem with crunch, but there's a couple of reasons people are obsessed with Naughty Dog. Because A, their crunch has been sensationalized. Anyone who's read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier, fantastic book, but it gave a really deep look at crunch. So a lot of people, their basis of knowledge for crunch is either Rockstar or Naughty Dog. That's one reason. Reason number two that people are so obsessed with it is it comes down to a console war thing. Because if I guarantee you, if someone came out and said 343 was crunching, the people that were complaining about crunching would suddenly disappear on one side of the argument.
And then the people that were like, oh, we expect crunch, like hanging them, from the rooftops.
It's a back and forth battle. It's nonsense. There is what it is. And there's also a big movement right now, and people that follow games media and everything else, of pushing unionization to change these working conditions. So when you have something as sensational as Naughty Dog, who creates some of the best games that we've seen across these past 2 generations, get involved in drama, people are going to dig into that to use it for their own motivations. I'm not necessarily saying that's bad, but I think it's unfair, because within all industry is crunch. It's all different. No crunch is the same. My crunch isn't the same as Naughty Dog's. Naughty Dog's crunch isn't the same as a film company's. It's all different. Yes. But the thing is at the end of the day, there are people that crunch, burn out, leave because of the crunch, and then there's other people that live for that crunch.
Yes.
I live for crunch. At one point I was working 11-hour days, coming home, spending time with my kids, staying up till 2 o'clock, like 1 o'clock in the morning, writing articles, and then going to bed, sleeping for 3 hours, and then working another 11-hour day. I did that 6 days a week for months. Yeah. Because I love gaming and I love writing about it. So I'm willing to sacrifice sleep and my mental well-being in order to do something I enjoy.
I will tell you right now, in the film industry, we work at least about 18 hours a day, almost.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But you love it because you're doing something that you love.
Right. Exactly. If you're doing something you love and care about, the hours fly away. Exactly. Like I've worked jobs that were 8 hours where I wanted to hang myself by the end of the day. But the job I work now, I can do a 14-hour day and go home and proud of the job I did. And I think that's 98% of the battle. And I think that the people that are being overly vocal about this are not nearly as invested as people think they are. Yeah, because it's easy to throw up a tweet and be like, well, Naughty Dog's evil for video game crunch. But if you ask them to not buy The Last of Us Part 2 to stop that crunch, all of a sudden they don't want to talk about it.
Right, they don't want. Hey, listen, now, hold on, wait. Let me say this. So Nick, I want to applaud you for saying that. I kind of a little bit more in your camp on this, but there's two folks in the chat. One is One Bad Mother, and also Bill Stillwell. One Bad Mother says, Mooch, it's not the same. I used to be in the restaurant business. You're working really hard physically is very different than a boiler room culture. It's not just hours, it's constant intensity. And then Bill says, Mooch, it's more about the way game devs get used up because the industry knows that they can do it. If that person left and went and worked in an office, they wouldn't get away with it. Bill, I see that's both sides of the coin. That's coming from where Nick's coming from, and then these folks are saying something different. And I get it. I do see what you're saying. But at the end of the day, whether it be the plate of dinner that you paid probably $65 or $85 for in New York City, okay, that you're enjoying, that the person back there is literally sweating and has been working 13 hours, and that is a grind, whether it be physical with your hands. That's the one thing where One Bad Mother says something that I don't agree with. I know people that work physically and they work with their hands and they're working 13 hours, 12 hours, depends on whether the OT kicks in or not, and they can get that kind of work, and working 6 days a week, 11-hour shifts. That's just as grueling sometimes as when you're in a think box and you're under the gun. That's also grueling. Now, again, let me reiterate this because people like to take words and run with it. I'm just saying, I don't think that one is more grueling than the other. I'm saying they're equivalent. And what my point is that when I see people saying that, hey, we should worry about the devs, listen, when you get into that business, especially when you're in college, people know as they're going through that 4-year degree or they're going through that 2-year associate's degree to get into programming, they know the grind that's in their way, right? Like people that are in the medical business, I'm going to say this real quick, Xbot, and I'll give you the mic. Okay, people that are going to become doctors, all right, they realize that they have to go through 4 years of probably biology. Then they have to go into medical school. Then they have to actually do a residency. Then they have to spend, right, and they sleep for like 2 years in the hospital to get the residency to when they can get their actual doctorate degree where they can practice without having another doctor look over their shoulder. What I'm trying to say is that's 12 years of grueling and absolutely, that's think tank. And then that's also, if you're a surgeon, someone's life on the line. So what I'm saying here is that, like, this is something where we all have these types of work fluctuations. And I hope everybody hears me what I'm saying. I'm trying to be very equal across all boards.
I also want to reiterate that the only crunch, quote unquote, that was ever confirmed for Naughty Dog was a guy saying he had to work 44 hours once in a week. That's 44 hours.
Nothing.
I'm just saying that was the only, quote unquote, crunch that was really levied there. And I also want to say that they're not doing this the entire game development. Usually crunch is happening within the last couple of months.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And again, it's, like a lot of the times it's the people at the top. Like the whole thing with Rockstar was like, everybody's like, whoa, I heard this guy had to work this. It's always like second or third hand knowledge. It's so ridiculous. It's like, and it's not even a Xbox or PlayStation thing. It's just, I personally, I just feel like you can tell when developers really, really take pride and put in that extra hard work for their games, and then you can kind of get an idea of who didn't, you know what I mean? And so that's just all I kind of want to say about it. It's like those people that are willing to go that extra mile usually have the better games,
And I can tell you
is what it is.
I can tell you right now, the person that I know who works for PlayStation, they crunch as well towards the end of because they're working on the PS5 right now. So they are basically crunching to get things done so that they can get this console out, holiday or whatever. So, there's crunch everywhere. It's not just the devs. It's also the people who are making the consoles as well.
Yeah. My whole thing on this is, crunch is here, crunch is there, and all that stuff. when you look at it, how extreme is it? Because there is a boiling point. And do any of these studios, Naughty Dog or Rockstar, and we're hearing rumors with Rockstar kind of like tapering back GTA 6 and kind of putting out content moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a rumor. But when it comes down to it, there is a boiling point. You can't just give these companies and say, yeah, no, crunch is good. Yeah, we can, we expect that to happen. And the more you crunch, the better the game is, because they're just going to push that to what's the limit when it comes down to it. And then not only that, with Naughty Dog, there was rumors, especially with this leak of, payment discrepancy, where they weren't getting paid what they should have gotten paid and stuff like that, which was what possibly led to the leaking of this content. Now, according
to Sony, that's not true. It wasn't having anything.
And you gotta remember, when it comes to these companies, they said the primary people, they weren't Naughty Dog and they weren't Sony. Now,
but if you look at the thing that you're talking about, where it was that forum thing, and I saw it, where they couldn't get paid. I believe it was, who's that Kotaku guy?
Jason Schreier.
Yeah, Schreier. He says nope, they paid everybody. It gave them extra for the COVID stuff. Yeah. So
from the information that I got, the first person that actually leaked this out into public was a relative of one of the developers. So primarily, it's not anybody that works at Naughty Dog or Sony. Do you see? You got to remember, when it comes to these companies, these corporations, they pick their words very carefully, especially when they're coming out and trying to like smooth things over.
Well, supposedly,
that's why I have.
Supposedly, it was a leak. There was some kind of forum post about it. There was some kind of server leak or something like that, where somebody just was able to access their work, and there wasn't any kind of security on it, and somebody went in there and took it. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it is getting close to 8, Mooch. Or 9.
Yeah. Well, I have a few super shots. Dark Animus, I'll give you the mic.
We have Warzone.
Hold on. Yeah, absolutely. I got JB Gold in it, who says, at the end of the day, nobody should hope other side fails. Microsoft shouldn't be transparent if they didn't get mollywopped this Chen. And if you think Sony would have, I've got a bridge to sell you. And I want to say thank you so much to Enrico Kitchens for that. Mooch's mom's got going on. I appreciate that. Thank you for that song lyric. I'm not going to go ahead and sing all of that. We're so close to 9 o'clock. But Enrico, thank you for the super chat, I think. Elemental Peel says, my issue with crunch is how much these devs making crunch without overtime pay. You know what, the Elemental PL, that is a whole nother discussion, because I that doesn't encompass everybody that Mr. Schreier is covering in his articles. I think a lot of people are getting overtime. He's talking more about the time factor.
I was gonna say, on that point, if people really wanted to be mad about something, if they wanted to be mad about crunch, when it was revealed about how Activision treated QA testers and how QA testers are
that
treated.
Was bad.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's the thing. Is like, it's not necessarily the full-time employees. Like there's something to worry about. But if you work in QA, you're contracted for this amount of work at this amount of pay. But the hours don't necessarily meet what you're getting paid. Like, you can be making sub-minimum wage if you're working 18 hours a day. If people really genuinely care about this, they would have run with that. But you want to know how long that outrage lasted? About 6 hours,
right?
Because it was Activision. It wasn't a Sony-owned studio, so people couldn't make something out of it. Like all these Reddit leaks about people at Sony not getting their money and all this stuff. Sony literally came out and made a statement from Sony, like SIE as a whole, saying that they were paying their QA testers to stay home even if they weren't working and everything else. And there's no reason to dispute an official statement because of someone with an anime avatar on Reddit told me so.
Right. Agreed, Nick, and well said. Thank you.
Well said, Undead.
King LB, shout out to King LB in the super chat, also says, crunch happens in construction. Ever talk to construction crew members when building is behind schedule? That's what I'm saying. And this is where I kind of want to leave this, and then we'll wrap up the show. But, I think that every one of you guys that's listening to this show, okay, and everybody on the panel right now and everybody listening later, you all work so hard. We all work so hard, and everybody puts their blood, sweat, and tears, okay, into their profession. So that's why sometimes when I sit here and I hear them saying, well, these guys are working long hours. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I've put in, my God, I don't know if it was 75, 80-hour weeks back in the day. And like I put a lot of time in. It was like 2 weeks in one. I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I can barely keep my eyes open, but I have to keep going. There's work that we all do. And I'm not saying that my work is anywhere near more important than anybody else's. That's the thing. When you hear this, it's like, okay, if you don't like it, then that's not the profession. I got news for you. I'm not a big fan of heart surgery. I didn't go into biology. I didn't do doctor. I didn't want to do it. Because I know it's long nights. It's always on call. New Year's Eve, you can't even have a glass of champagne because your phone will go off. Your patient needs you. I'm drinking. Okay? So my point being is like, these are the choices we make. These are the things. So when you get down to the last year or 6 months, when you're very, very close to going gold on your game, that's the breaks. That's the breaks. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I don't feel for them. I do. All I'm saying is to all those folks out there that are crunching, we hear you. We've been doing it too. That's my point. We've been crunching too. And that's where I kind of want to leave this is like, it's not that, and it's like, I don't know why. You can't pick on 343. You can't pick on Naughty Dog. That's just the nature of the business. And if you don't like the business, the same reason I don't like getting into large, massive amounts of blood and heart surgery, I didn't get into the medical field. I don't dig it. I don't even like house.
Well,
so my point being is,
developers left anyway, so.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. That's not true. That's
just another typical Tuesday, according to the Don, man.
Well, of course, right? Shout out to Basement Arcade Radio Podcast. It says, I crunch for PCMR and Warzone. You guys are awesome. Shout out to One Bad Mother, too. He says, Super Chat is working. So is Game Pass. Go play Streets of Rage, all 10 million of you. One Bad Mother, that's going to be next week's big topic. I hope you come back. We didn't have enough time. Crap, listen, I'll go over.
Hey, we didn't have the 2 minutes to talk about it. Hey, man, I feel like I'm in 1992 all over again. Wow, Streets of Rage.
Easy. Oh, crap.
I love Streets of Rage. Come on, crap.
Cognito, I didn't even get a chance to go in on that.
1992. All over again.
You're not going to do this, crap.
We're going to do it.
I wasn't even born.
Nostalgia's a hell of a drug.
That's right. You educate yourself, David.
Yo, guys,
I was 15.
I want to say, this was an absolutely fire podcast, and there wasn't a silent moment. Not a silent moment. It was a fantastic show. These are the kind of shows that I live for. I'm going to go in the appropriate order because I know the Crap Gamer is already upset that I'm well over 9 o'clock. Right? So, Crap 9:03. Right? I can't believe I have you like on like soccer time. It's after it's like penalty time.
Dude, I got a pitch count, man. Come on.
Crap, do me a favor. I love that you're here, buddy. You're awesome. Let everybody know where they can find you, buddy, and thank you for being here tonight.
Crab Gamer Reviews. Thank you, guys. Make sure you guys sub and get them up over 10,000. And it was an honor to do a podcast with all you great people and the great chat and stuff like that, man. You guys rock. Thanks, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you, Crap. You're the best. I appreciate that. I'm going to go in the appropriate. I'm going to go, you know what? Now I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go to our special guest, Lord Cognito. Cognito, this is what Crossfire is all about, man. It is about coming on here. It's about speaking your mind. And you know what? Listen, I got news for you. Everybody's got a different opinion. Everyone's got a different thought. And that's what makes everybody so damn great. So, Cognito, listen, you guys do it on the Iron Lords podcast. We do it here. It's why we mesh so well. It's an honor to have you here. Shout out to Sovereign. Shout out to King. Shout out to Addict. Shout out to Nick. Shout out to everybody that is a part of the Iron Lords podcast. You guys have a ton of people on that role, which is fantastic, putting out amazing content. Lord Cognito, please let people know where they can find you and the crew, and I hope you will join us back on Crossfire real soon.
This was so much fun, and like you see, couldn't have said it better. Like, at the end of the day, man, we all gamers, and we're passionate, and that's why I love the show. Fantastic job. Salute to the team. You can find me at Lord Cognito on Twitter, and of course, Iron Lord Podcast every Sunday is the Lord's Day, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Check us out, and of course, my man Nick is in here, lordsofgaming.net. iDizzy, tremendous writers, man. We love the support that we've been getting. We really appreciate it, doing the media thing from gamers. people who play these games and are passionate, and are truly honored to see the success and things that's happened there. But yeah, salute to the panel. Everybody was lit, man. This is a fun show. Mooch, thanks again, brother.
Always, Lord Cognito, thank you. And then I got my buddy here, Nick Undead, who writes for Iron Lords Podcast. Nick, it is awesome having you here, man. Honest to God, it's just, the thing about it is this. I actually get excited when I bring up a topic and then I go on a rant, and then 5 minutes later, Nick's like, can I chime in? And I go, sure, Nick, go ahead. And then Nick takes my side. Man, I got to tell you, that's the best drink I take all night. I love it when Nick takes my side. Nick, honestly, it is always a pleasure and honest, just fantastic to have your expertise on the panel, buddy. Let people know where they can find you, please.
Oh, you can stalk me at Twitter, Undead3XVI. You can find my YouTube channel at The Gaming Perspective. We do a show every Saturday night. And we got
what time? What time?
what time? 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, plug it.
And of course, you can find all the writing that I do exclusively at thelordsofgaming.net, and where we treat all our employees like human beings. And that's all I will say.
Let's get it.
Wow. Nick never disappoints. That should be his new slogan. Nick never disappoints. Nick, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then I got Goldblum, who was absolutely in fuego tonight. He didn't let anybody down with his one-liners. Dark Optimist, let people know where they can find you on Twitter, buddy.
Yeah, you guys can find me not being entertaining at Dark Optimist on Twitter. and
See you can get your mom's jeans.
you can find me on Twitter at Dark Optimist and Xbox Live and PlayStation at the same name.
Yeah, you got an awesome Twitter banner, by the way. That thing looks
dude.
sharp,
that is the awesome Xbot 448 who made that.
Great Xbot 448. Yes.
If you guys want to take a look at that banner on my Twitter page.
Awesome, Dark Optimist. Thank you. And then I've got my partner in crime on Warzone, Enrique Brap, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Enrique, let people know where they can find you, buddy, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, dude, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Let me tell you something, man. This show is just great.
Great!
It really is. I love the different perspectives. And like you said,
way better than Prep.
Okay.
That Goldblum is brutal.
Hey, he is not allowed back on the show.
Thank you, Forte. You are banned. You're the first person to get a lifetime ban on this.
Wow, you got banned?
Matter of fact, let me go into our Discord and remove the tag that I'm
taking privilege.
Forte's very unforgiving.
I don't blame you, man. I would too.
And me too.
Hey, you know what? The one thing I respect is the fact he will do it to your face.
Yes,
right? He will.
Yes, yeah, he will. Got mad love for Gold, but seriously, great show. I love the fact that we all have a difference of opinions, but at the end of the day, we are gamers. Seriously, we are gamers. Like the fact that we can discuss and have difference of opinions and still be friendly and game. I feel like it's a lost art form, especially in this political climate, if you will. But seriously, we all love games. We all love the same things. Just because we don't like one platform, whatever the case is, or maybe like different games, doesn't mean that we're wrong. We all love the same thing, and that is gaming. And on that note, you can check out Basement Radio Arcade Podcast live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at @Brap_podcast. And you should, because I have another big announcement coming up. We're going to have a special guest coming up this month.
Nice.
Big guest. I'm super excited about. Keep an eye out for that, and we're working on some other industry guests.
Is it Dark's mom?
No, definitely.
No, I wouldn't make an announcement for that.
I get around, but definitely go check out Brap, man. That show is on fire every Wednesday.
It is great.
Definitely take a look at that.
Squad.
Yes.
Facts. Yo, great to have you, Enrique. Thank you so much. And then another Brap. Right, another Brap panel member here who puts his ear to the ground in Forte. Honestly, what people, I hope they can hear it come through, because when you do your size, when people say something and it's not right, it is absolutely that should be patented, bottled, and I'd buy it all day. Forte, you're a great gamer, man. You know what you're talking about. Forte, let people know where they can find you, and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, I appreciate that, Mooch, man. You're a stand-up guy. You always been a stand-up guy in my book, and I'm adding you to. I'm gonna add you to the.
I don't care what Crap Gamer says about you.
I'm gonna add you to that too. I'm gonna put you right above Crap. right next. Actually, I'll put you and Crap on the same line. But no, but I appreciate that, man. But it's Gaming Forte, YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, man, those sides become because I'll be trying to find something positive to say, but then sometimes there's just nothing positive you can say to some people when they say stupid stuff. But there isn't nothing you can do. But no, he already said it. Brat, I want to say shout out to everybody that's been coming over to the Brat. That has been the last couple of weeks have been amazing. You guys have been coming out in droves, supporting the channel. You make us feel like we're part of the family finally. We finally made it. But no, man, it's only the beginning. A lot of good information gonna be coming out of that show. And make sure you support Brat when he be doing his side shows and stuff. Did it. Mama, we did it. We did it. Make sure you be supporting. Make sure you support the one-off shows and everything. Optimus Code, shout out to him. He's always putting his ear to the ground for us so we can know exactly what these developers out here are thinking.
Big shout out to Code.
Big shout out to Code.
His favorite letters are F and N.
And just for me, man, it's always a pleasure being on here with you guys. You guys are all stars. The fact that I can get somebody like Cognito, Crap, and everybody in the same room together, and we can all talk games. That's all that really matters to me. Facts. So shout out to you guys, and I can't wait to do this again with you guys in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Forte. Outstanding words. Never spoken better, actually. Thank you. And then I've got, last but certainly not least, the man that's literally been on the hot seat for weeks, and he's not going to get... He's not relentless at all. It's XBot448. XBot, absolutely, always. You're a family member on Crossfire. You know that. We love your intake and everything that you got on gaming. Buddy, let people know where they can find you. I know you got a huge show coming up tomorrow. Let them know about it.
Yeah, well, brother, first off, I'd like to thank you for starting the whole, Xbox lawyer thing. And for everybody out there that calls me the Xbox lawyer, don't worry. Next generation, if Sony pays me more, I'll switch it right over and I'll be the PlayStation lawyer. No problem, man. Yeah, every Saturday on my channel is the next podcast. I have, we got the beats, we got the gameplay, we got the entertaining panel. We have, Crispy going into left field. We have K-Mega talking about some guy named Stan. And then we have Predator bringing it all back into common sense. It is a really fun show to do for you guys. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely check it out. It is every Saturday. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Because we all know Eastern, that's the Lord's time right there.
There you go.
and I'll be there tomorrow as well. So
and Dark will be there. Just finding out now. Dark, do you have gameplay to share with me?
No, I do not.
Almost flawless, buddy. Almost flawless.
Almost.
I want to take a second here and say thank you to everybody. Honestly, the panel assembled tonight, absolute fire. You guys know that. All stars around the table. And absolutely, I have to thank the chat. And I want to thank the live chat. And I want to take a second to thank also the chat that's going to be listening and the viewers that are going to be listening this weekend. Guys, you all mean so much to me personally. I thank you. Brian Baker says, Warzone! Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. Yes, ready. You know that's calling my name. Guys, again, the join button is right above the description. I thank you so much. If you want to become a Mooch Maniac, that means the world to me. And shout out to Bill Stillwell. Absolute honor to have somebody here from Xbox in the chat. It is truly, honestly, you do these things. We've been doing this for such a long time. I've been doing Crossfire since I think the end of 2014, early 2015. I don't have a timestamp on it, but it's because I love to do it and I take it very seriously. I work very hard at it in the panel. These guys that I have here are all professionals. Guys, that being said, we'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, same channel. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button for Mooch's sake, please. We'll see you next week. Game on. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out, guys.
Battle time.
You're really loose with the term professionals, Mooch.
Yeah, that might